right about, but I'm Kennedy'd out.
Since having the sleeve operation, do you miss not eating big meals?
No, I don't. I can still eat what I used to eat. I just can't eat as much. I'm now very surprised how much I used to eat. I'm surprised at how much people I eat with consume. It's just hard to believe that I used to eat that much. But no, it's not a problem.
How is Mr. Gooner since Pearl's passing? Mr.
Gooner is drowning his sorrows in food.
What is the most trouble you ever got into as a kid?
My father was giving me grief one time up at Moosehead Lake in Maine, and I threw a rock at him. He didn't much like that. With all the uncertainty in the world, feeling safe at home has never been more important. It's why I want to talk to you about Simply Safe Home Security. They're longtime friends of the Howie Carr Show, and for good reason. Simply Safe has made it easy to finally get comprehensive protection for your home. There's no technician or salesperson that needs to come and disrupt your house. You don't need to pay any outrageous monthly fees or sign a 2-year contract. You just order online, set it up yourself in under an hour, and your home is protected 24/7 with emergency dispatch for break-ins, fire, and more. All for just 50 cents a day. And we're not the only fans of Simply Safe. U.S. News and World Report named Simply Safe Best Overall Home Security of 2020. Go to simplysafehowie.com to try it out for yourself. That's simplysafehowie.com to make sure they know that our show sent you. That's simplysafehowie.com.
And now, an interview with the Emperor of Hate, Howie Carr.
Can you remember any time in your life when you were starstruck?
One time I saw Peter Vesey, the NBA columnist for the New York Post. He was in the Herald sports department. I really liked his column, so I went up and introduced myself to him. Then one time there was Cousin Brucey from WABC, and I used to listen to him driving back and forth between Chapel Hill and Deerfield when I was in college. Everybody on the East Coast listened to him. I couldn't believe that I was in the presence of Cousin Brucey.
Do you ever play bridge anymore?
No, I haven't played bridge in a very long time. Nobody I know plays bridge.
Better strap yourself in. It's time for the Howie Carr Show.
The State Department, under Obama and Biden, believed that Joe Biden was engaging in a conflict of interest.
I did not know he was on the board of that company. No one's established that he did anything wrong or that I've done anything wrong.
The State Department detected a $7 million bribe being paid by Burisma, the company hiring Hunter Biden in Ukraine.
Here's the answer. No one ever paid me $1.5 billion. If they had, I would not be doing this interview right now.
Live from the Matthews Brothers Studios.
There was a pressure campaign inside the Obama State Department and in the White House to make the Burisma corruption allegations go away before the 2016 election ended.
If the prosecutor's not fired, you're not getting the money. Oh, son of a bitch.
The Treasury Department flagged several transactions, foreign money flowing into companies connected to Hunter Biden as suspicious transactions.
I did my job. I never discussed a single thing with my son about anything having to do with Ukraine. I don't discuss business with my son. I never, ever had a conversation with my son about anything that I was doing. I've never spoken to my son about his overseas business dealings. There's nothing there. Ask the right questions.
Well, me thinks the lady does protest too much.
Who's your captain? Howie Carr.
You know where he is today? They have a thing called the lid. He put out a lid today early in the morning. Lid means he's not going to be anywhere today. I'm working my ass off. I'm in Ohio. I'm in Texas. I'm in Florida. I'm in Michigan. I'm in Wisconsin.
Unchained and unstoppable.
I wonder, in the debate, is he going to walk in with a mask? I mean, honestly, what the hell did he spend all that money on the plastic surgery if he's going to cover it up with a mask? Seriously.
Rump swabs, hacks, and moonbats beware. It's Howie Carr.
Try not to let what I'm about to tell you destroy your faith in the integrity of the Biden family. But the Senate report issued today says that some transactions with Hunter Biden appeared to be linked to, quote, what appears to be an Eastern European prostitution or human trafficking ring, unquote. Hunter Biden, trafficking in hookers from Eastern Europe. I know it's hard to believe. He's a good family man, you know. He's got a nice son named Burisma. by his stripper girlfriend who danced under the nom de plume Dallas at one of Capitol Hill's finest adult entertainment districts. A sanctuary for weary businessmen, as Tommy Sumas, the owner of the famous Providence Sanctuary for Weary Businessmen, used to say. Yes, Grace?
I think Hunter would claim this is a setup. This is for sure a setup.
Yes, and they keep referring back to this Boston group that he was involved with, Thornton, LLC. And that's the one where one of the principals is a fellow by the name of James Bulger. Does that name ring a bell, James Bulger? He's a nephew, I believe, of the late serial-killing, cocaine-dealing, bank-robbing Democrat by the name of Whitey Bulger. Anyway, we've got so much to get to today. The grand jury in Louisville, Kentucky, has returned no indictments in the Breonna Taylor killing by police officers returning gunfire from her boyfriend. They indicted one cop on charges of wanton endangerment. He fired into another apartment nearby, but no charges in the Breonna Taylor killing, even though the city of Louisville has already settled up and paid her estate, her family, $12 million. So we'll get to that. And it looks like some white millennials with tattoos are marching down the streets. They're a fairly sad looking group, but it isn't nightfall yet, so we'll see what happens. All the businesses in Louisville have been boarding up. Plywood has been in short supply all over the state of Kentucky, the Commonwealth of Kentucky, the last few days. I would hate to be a bottle of Hennessy in a liquor store in Louisville tonight before the when the trouble starts. 844-500-4242. But we have good news in Massachusetts. Charlie Baker has studied the science, and he says that right now, if you have more than 6 people at a table in a restaurant in the Commonwealth of Massachusetts, you could die. You could be killed by coronavirus. However, on Monday, it will be no problem. It'll be safe to have up to 10 people. Not 7, not 8, not 9, up to 10 people. 11 people at a table, death, mortality.
Did this just happen?
Instantaneous death. But right now it's still going to be 6 people, and this is even bigger news, you will be allowed to sit at the bar. But I'm not sure how many bars are going to be open, because under the new improved regulations that Charlie Parker announced today up in Lowell, the bar must have a plexiglass partition between the guy sitting at the bar and the bartender. Does that make sense?
So I was in Rhode Island a couple of weeks ago, and I was able to sit at a bar, and there was that plexiglass. It is the most annoying thing for the bartenders and the servers to have to walk all the way around. Right. And if there's no dividers in between the dividers, there's no space, so they have to walk all the way around the bar. Right. If you're in the middle, it's a pain. Well,
I was talking to a bar owner today who's been studying the regulations, and he said that there can be 8 inches before the plexiglass comes in. So what happens if you order a pint of beer? Do you have to turn the pint on its side to pass it underneath?
Oh, forget pitchers.
8 ounces. Yeah. How about the pitcher? Just turn it around and push it through. How about a bottle of wine? How do you get the bottle of wine under the 8 inches? I mean, I don't think that this is the panacea that Charlie Parker thinks it is, and he was accepting these accolades, all these fools. I don't know how else to describe them in Lowell. He announces this. I'm opening the bar. I've studied the science. We're going to open them up. And they're, what are they, insane? Yep. And here's the other thing, too. The same thing with the bars are not going to be open until Sunday. So here's the way it works. So some people like to go and watch football at the bars, right? That's why they have things called sports bars, right? So there's a game. The Raiders are in Foxborough on Sunday afternoon, right, 1 o'clock. Las Vegas, formerly Oakland, formerly L.A. Now they're the L.A. Raiders. LV, not L.A. They used to be the L.A. Raiders. Now they're the LV Raiders. So if you try to watch the New England Raiders game at a bar on Sunday afternoon in Massachusetts, you will die. That is what settled science tells us. That's what the Department of Public Health tells us. You will die. However, Monday night, the Chiefs are playing the Ravens. That's going to be a good game. You can sit at the bar, and if you can figure out a way to get the beer sideways underneath the 8-inch partition, you can enjoy it to your heart's content, and nothing will happen to you. Isn't science amazing? We've learned so much in the last 6 months about science. Just make it up as you go along. Just say whatever the hell you please. And, Charlie Parker expects everybody to just bow down and, oh, Charlie, you're so great. And he also had the audacity in Lowell this morning to say, and there shouldn't be any standing around at the bars. Who the bleep elected this guy, Carrie Nation? Are we back to the anti-saloon league here? Women's Christian Temperance Union? I don't think I voted for this guy. The VIPs, so I got some VIPs here. They were telling me how disappointed they are. They voted for Charlie Park. Did you vote to bring back prohibition? No, I don't think you did. I don't think even people who don't drink wanted to bring back prohibition. And now you have this guy stomping around telling people that they can't stand at a bar or that you have to have a plexiglass partition. Who is getting sick here?
Sorry.
33 deaths in the last 2 days. 33 deaths. That's a meme on the internet if you haven't seen it. All these numbers seem to keep coming up. 33. Well, it's 33 in Massachusetts over the last 2 days. But you know how many of them have been in outside of nursing homes? 8 deaths. It's ridiculous. 844-500-4242. In other news, just to make sure you know it. You know Uncle Ben? It's a good kind of rice, right? It's named after a real guy, a black guy, and he was the best grower of rice in East Texas. He had the best product, so they named the rice after him. He was a real character, unlike Aunt Jemima. And he's gone. He's gone. Uncle Ben has been renamed Ben's Original. What's wrong with calling somebody uncle? And they're getting rid of his picture. He had a nice tie and a sport coat. He's gone. He's gone. Thank goodness Uncle Ben's converted rice was on sale last weekend at Market Basket. I picked up 3 boxes of it. So I'm all set for the next couple of months, but then that'll be the end of Uncle Ben.
Is one of them going to be suitable for framing?
I guess I could frame it, right? I could save it. I could, I think I'll cut out at least one picture of Uncle Ben. And so I'll have something to remember him by. Uncle Ben sleeps with the fishes. Ben's Original. Look at that. They used to have a nice picture of Uncle Ben on the. This is the new one now. How could it be any more generic? Why don't you just make it Market Basket Original or Stop and Shop Original or Hannaford's Original? All right, 844-500-4242. I'm Howie Carr.
The Howie Carr Show.
This hour of the Howie Carr Show is brought to you in part by DiStefano Hair Restoration. Do what I did and get hair restoration from Dr. Chris Hines. To learn more, go to hairman.com. That's hairman.com. Do you have no water, poor water quality, or low pressure? This is Howie Carr. Call the local water service experts, Skillings & Sons. They're ready with 24-hour service with no extra charge for after-hours calls and a fleet of trucks stocked with parts to make sure you're not without water. With over 50 years of experience, they take pride in having a family of employees that are the best in the business. For all things water, Skillings & Sons is there for you. SkillingsandSons.com. Let me tell you about a new sponsor to the Howie Carr Show, Helping Hands of America. For over 2 decades, Helping Hands has made donating your car, truck, or boat to a New England charity incredibly easy. I've donated, and you should too. It takes one call. The pickup is not only fast, but it's free, and your donation is 100% tax deductible. Call Helping Hands at 888-881-9090. That's 888-881-9090. Or visit helpinghandsofamerica.org. Restrictions may apply.
Are you aware that the Episcopal Archbishop of Washington and the presiding bishop of the Episcopal Church nationally all denounced this police assault on the civil rights and civil liberties of the people?
Did they do that before or after the fire was put out?
Do you want to rephrase what you're doing? Because I think the word spying could cause everybody in the cable news ecosystem to freak out.
I'm not sure of all the connotations of that word that you're referring to, but, unauthorized surveillance.
Okay, thank you.
Is that more appropriate in your mind?
This is your call. I really did want to give you a chance to say it how you wanted to say it and make sure that you didn't misspeak.
How can you sit here and tell us, why should I investigate the President of the United States, if you're not even aware of the facts concerning the President using the pardon or commutation power to swap the silence of a witness?
Because we require, a reliable predicate before we open a criminal investigation.
Do you think that this body right here would rise up if they decided to go tonight and paint the Capitol building?
This body, I'm not sure.
You've been hearing me talk about Super Beets for a while now, and I'm sure some of you are still thinking, why Super Beets? You could take it from me. The benefits of Super Beets are incredible. I take them twice a day, once in the morning when I get up, even before I have my first cup of coffee, and the other time in the afternoon, right before the show. It gives me a burst of energy. It's great for my blood pressure. It's good for circulation. It just makes you feel better. If that doesn't convince you, we can talk about the science behind Super Beets. Beets have nitrates. Nitrates support better blood flow, and better blood flow equals better energy and efficiency throughout the body, and even supports healthy blood pressure. But Super Beets does so much more than eating regular beets and is unparalleled compared to other beet powders. Just one scoop of Super Beets has the nitric oxide equivalent of 3 whole beets. Go to superbeetsradio.com/Howie and try out Super Beets yourself. www.superbeetsradio.com/Howie. www.superbeetsradio.com/Howie.
And now, an interview with the Emperor of Hate, Howie Carr.
Who do you consider the biggest rhino in the Republican Party?
Probably is Paul Ryan. I wish a Republican were still the speaker, but Paul Ryan was scarcely a Republican. And there was a reason he was Mitt Romney's running mate, because we had a rhino ticket in 2012.
Where did the expression, "How many more, Mr. Speaker? How many more?" come from?
That comes from the State House. There used to be a state rep who sometimes would talk about atrocities that were happening in crime. And he would get up there and he would say, "How many more, Mr. Speaker? How many more?" And I just picked it up and it became a trademark.
Where's your favorite place to go out to eat in Palm Beach?
My favorite place to go in Palm Beach is probably the Honor Bar, which used to be O-Bar, and you can get a really great hamburger there, and they have a great coffee machine that brews each cup of coffee individually.
Hi, this is John in the People's Republic of Amherst, Massachusetts.
This is Heather from Litchfield, Maine.
This is Kent, Wichita, Kansas, and this is the Howie Carr Show.
While bars remain closed in Massachusetts, restaurants with bar seating may now use those spaces for food service with the right distance measures in place.
Yes.
No standing around the bar, okay?
Oh, that's the funniest thing I've heard since Benito Mussolini got out of the stand-up comic business. God. No standing around the bars. Who does he think he is, Mike Dukakis? You know? At least Mike Dukakis, you know, when he was trying to take away people's fun, he didn't try to make a joke out of it. He was really a committed Puritan. This guy's just a fraud. Ugh, tired of this BS. 844-500-4242. Time now for the poll question. The poll is brought to you by Raycon. Raycon's newest wireless earbuds. The everyday E25s are their best ones yet, with 6 hours of playtime, seamless Bluetooth pairing, and a noise-isolating fit that really allows you to focus on what you're listening to. Get 15% off Raycon wireless earbuds at buyraycon.com/Howie. buyraycon.com/Howie. Taylor, what's the poll question? What are the results thus far?
Will Joe Biden wear a mask at the debate?
Now we have a reason for asking this particular day, because Trump was mentioning this. He was at a rally in suburban Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania last night, and he was just really goofing around with the audience. There was a lot of great stuff, but here's cut four.
I mean, honestly, what the hell did he spend all that money on the plastic surgery if he's going to cover it up with a mask? Seriously. The whole deal.
Then cut three.
He feels good about the mask. I wonder, in the debate, it'll be him and I on the stage. Is he going to walk in with a mask? I'll be honest. He feels good about the mask, and that's okay. You know what? Whatever makes you feel good, he feels good.
Whatever gets you through the night, Sleepy Joe. So the question is, will he come in wearing a mask?
Will Joe Biden wear a mask at the debate?
I think he'll come in wearing a mask. He'll take it off, but I think he will walk onto the stage.
That falls under wearing it at the debate.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Yes.
80% think he will.
Yeah. He's got to show solidarity with the Karens. You know? The Karen constituency, the people who can't read charts. The people who can't figure out statistics to see who's dying and who's not. 844-500-4242. 781 says, does Bolshevik Baker own stock in a plexiglass company? Making restaurants install completely useless plexiglass partitions is unnecessary, costly, and insane. That has Charlie Parker written all over it. And he keeps saying, and then he has the audacity to say, we're trying to make restaurants run more efficiently. When was the last time he was ever working in a restaurant or owning a restaurant? When was the last time he was ever paying attention to what was going on in a restaurant if he thinks this is a good plan? What a fool. Lord. 844-500-4242. Let's see if there's any other... This weekend, Email Allen says we'll be raising a glass to Massachusetts saloon keepers from some Nashua watering hole 20 plus minutes from our home in the Commonwealth. And I like the way too that, you know, not that there's going to be a lot of walk-in business to sports bars after they've been killed for 6 months, but you notice he has to, whatever slight chance there was for an uptick on Sunday from a Patriots afternoon game, he killed it. Let's wait till Monday. Let's wait till Monday to start these new rules, which, you know, aren't going to mean anything. And hey, you want to know how ridiculous the rules are? The Boston Globe runs a little story on it saying, you know, he's going to increase the restaurant seating from 6 to 10. And the Boston Globe is team lockdown. You know, they're all in on this. They want to destroy the economy. They want to go out of business. They're on a suicide mission for themselves and everybody else in the state. So they run a picture. They say, and here's how the rules are now. You can only have 6 people sitting at a restaurant table. And then they show a restaurant. Looks like it's on Hanover Street, somewhere in the North End anyway. And they show a table. You know how many people are sitting at the table? 7. 7 people are sitting at the table. So that's how well the law, it's not a law either, by the way. It's a regulation. It's an executive order. It's a fiat. It is a diktat. But it's not even working now. So he's going to loosen the grip, and he's negotiated a truce. All these governors, when do they negotiate with the COVID virus? is there like a Secretary of State for the virus that they negotiate with when they're changing the table limits or allowing bars to open if they have plexiglass? And why can't we just have some overall negotiation so you don't have to worry 1 week about Kentucky raising the closing hour by 1 hour? We're out of time. We'll take some calls when we come back. 844-500-4242. 844-500-4242. I'm Howie Carr.
We here at Matthews Brothers have a saying that was originally coined our first day in business. A window without glass is just a big drafty hole in the wall. You might wonder why the brothers felt it necessary to state such an obvious fact. But remember, 166 years ago, there wasn't nearly as much to talk about when it came to windows as there is today. Back then, it was pretty much, you got your wood, you got your glass, you got your putty, you got your window. Back then, windows had two jobs. Let the light in and keep everything else, wind, rain, bad guys, out. Nowadays, windows are called on to be much more than just glass holders. Today, our windows are more like transparent walls and are actually more thermally efficient than walls in homes built just 50 years ago. When you consider that a window is about 85% glass, you see why the brothers focused on it, even back then. Today, both our windows and our dual and tri-pane insulating glass units are all proudly made in Maine and are not supplied by some other manufacturer out there by the Great Divide. You can see the results of our relentless passion for making wicked awesome windows and doors, but only at better lumberyards and window professionals or on the web at MatthewsBrothers.com. That's Matthews Brothers with one T, America's oldest window manufacturer.
Joe Biden accuses Trump of being a racist, but if you listen to Biden's comments, you would agree that he doth protest too much.
If you take a test where you're taking cocaine or not, what do you think, huh? Are you a junkie?
The first mainstream African American who is articulate and bright and clean. And Madam President, we have predators on our streets.
That kid wearing a hoodie may very well be the next poet laureate and not a gangbanger.
They are beyond the pale, many of those people.
God love you. You've been here all day. My Lord, you may feel like you're being incarcerated.
We have no choice but to take them out of society.
Poor kids are just as bright and just as talented as white kids.
I think the two-party system is good for the South and good for the Negro.
They're going to put you all back in chains. Unlike the African American community, with notable exceptions, the Latino community is an incredibly diverse community with incredibly different attitudes about different things. If you have a problem figuring out whether you're for me or Trump, and you ain't black.
Now's the perfect time to get a pair of premium wireless earbuds, and Raycon is the way to go. Raycon start at about half the price of other premium brands on the market, and they sound just as amazing. And Raycon's everyday E25 earbuds are their best model yet. You get 6 hours of playtime, seamless Bluetooth pairing, more bass, and a more compact design that gives you a comfortable, noise-isolating fit. Perfect for conference calls, video chats, or binging podcasts. Raycon was founded by Ray J, and celebrities like Cardi B and J.R. Smith have already given Raycons their seal of approval. I love my Raycons, and Grace loves hers, too.
Howie, I love my Raycons. Best birthday gift ever.
I listen to much better music than she does, though.
Hey, that's not true.
Now it's your turn to see what the hype is all about. Go to buyraycon.com/Howie. That's buyraycon.com/Howie. buyraycon.com/Howie. I've seen a lot of Anchor cupcakes in my day. Here are some of the latest network nitwits.
And he says, if I'm elected president, I will push for a constitutional amendment to impose term limits on all members of Congress. Correct me, there already are term limits, so what does he mean?
And what are we hearing in the background? Is that shelling?
No, Katie, you're actually hearing that from here in Jerusalem, and it's actually fireworks going off right behind me.
We're in our tribes, we're in our corners most of our lives. I think we just heard some gunshots. Should we listen to that for a second, control room? So that's not gunshots? Okay. Ivanka is not the second lady. She is actually, I don't think she deserves this position. She's actually a senior advisor to the president. So the idea that he would demean her specifically in that way, he shouldn't talk about the first lady that way. We aren't all here to make salads for men. It's disgusting.
I mean, I'm presuming he was talking about Karen Pence when he said second lady.
Oh, God, I'm sorry. Not Montana. I'm talking about no, never mind.
Yeah, no, Chester, I mean, that's Republicans could add to that.
I was getting Montana and North Dakota confused because, I don't know, I just was.
Are we starting to feel bad for Joe Biden? Sorta. Are we going to play his gaffes anyway? Of course.
My name's Joe Biden. I'm a Democratic candidate for the United States Senate. Now we need to stand behind Jamie Harrison, the next president of the United States. I'm looking forward to appointing the first African-American woman to the United States Senate. Just like here in California, here in Nevada. Back in the spring, late fall, late spring, late winter, early fall. Anyway, you know what I mean. Look, tomorrow's Superstar Tuesday. I tell you what, I'm rushing ahead, aren't I? We hold these truths to be self-evident. All men and women created by you know the thing. It says you cannot have 20, 30, 40, 50 clips in a weapon. We'll see who's sleepy.
Mr. Vice President, thank you.
All right, Chuck. Thank you very much.
All right. It's Chris.
Sometimes I wake up and I think it's 1920 and not 2020.
Live from the Matthews Brothers Studios.
844-500-4242. I said we might have a death pool today at 6, but I don't think so. We got other stuff to go. We'll get to it very shortly. 781. I went to. Sorry. You'll have plenty of choices whenever we do it in the next few days. 781 says, I went to a restaurant last weekend and sat outside. Freezing cold. Food got cold in about 5 minutes. Restaurants are done if they don't fully let them open soon. You know, the thing is, though, once they get those there's nothing like going to a bar and having to speak to the bartender through a phone like you're at a prison, you know? Like when you got to, hi, how you doing? Don't say anything you don't want them to hear. They're recording this line. Okay, yeah. Can I have a Budweiser? Yeah, bring it around. Just slip it underneath. This is the new normal, as Charlie Baker says. Anyway, joining us now is Eddie Scarry. He's a commentator, a media critic for the Washington Examiner, and he's done a lot of good work. And he has a new book out, "Grow Up and Vote for Trump: Why 2020 is Your Last Chance to Become an Adult." Eddie Scarry, good to have you with us here on the Howie Carr Show.
Hello, thanks for having me.
Listen, you've been writing this today about this scathing, and it is scathing, Senate report on Hunter Biden and Joe Biden from the Senate Homeland Security Committee. I mean, and I'm looking at the headline: Joe Biden should at least be deeply embarrassed at his son Hunter's conduct. I mean, it's worse than I thought it was. I mean, I didn't think they were going to accuse him of using this money to perhaps buy hookers from East Europe. I mean, that's pretty horrible.
Right, and I would say they buried the lead a little bit in the report, because I looked at the actual document of the report. I think that was the last point they made, that linking Joe Biden's son to human trafficking and prostitution ring. But no, I think you're right that it is a lot worse, and I think people realize it is very forthcoming in that there's still a lot of secrecy, a lot of shady stuff that they weren't able to get answers to because, Democrats have blocked a lot of it. There have been lawsuits. There's other legal reasons why they haven't been able to get certain documents, talk to certain people. And yet still on its own, it's bad. At the end of the day, what you're really looking at is Joe Biden was in a position of great authority. He's the front-facing person dealing with Ukraine. His son sees that as an opportunity to swoop in, do some shady things with a gas company in Ukraine that's, under intense scrutiny from the government there, that the government there is fragile, trying to root out corruption. And you got Hunter Biden, and they're just completely taking advantage of his father's role, who clearly knew what was going on, and just didn't think that was a big enough deal. But if I was in that position, I would be mortified that this is all coming to light, and it looks like I was completely taken advantage of for very shady reasons by my own son.
Well, even that idiotic senator from Utah and our former governor here in Massachusetts, Mitt Romney, says, "Oh, this is just a political thing." Can you imagine, though, if, as Donald Trump Jr. says over and over again, can you imagine if they had me on these kinds of charges?
Right.
I mean, think about it. Let me just read you something here, Eddie Scarry. The Treasury records acquired by the chairman, meaning Ron Johnson specifically, show potential criminal activity. think about potential criminal activity. That's in a Senate report relating to transactions among and between Hunter Biden, his family, and his associates with Ukrainian, Russian, Kazakh, and Chinese nationals. He received millions of dollars from foreign sources as a result of business relationships that he built during the period when his father was vice president of the United States and after. I mean, that's big news.
Right, and Obama administration officials, senior officials at the State Department were saying to directly to Joe Biden, directly to his staff, you know what, this is causing us a lot of problems. We're supposed to be getting serious with Ukraine. As we know, Russia is this great big foe of ours, so you take that position and say Ukraine are supposed to be our frontline ally against any kind of Russian aggression on the West, and we're playing games because Joe Biden's son wants to make a buck. Again, that's the Obama administration official saying he's making this really hard for us. It's very uncomfortable that we have to try and get this job done. And they're saying, we're not going to deal with that. The vice president doesn't have the bandwidth, was their words. He didn't have the bandwidth to deal with that. I mean, come on.
Yeah, and people are texting me now saying, what about John Kerry's stepson? Well, here I got the day after Hunter joined the Burisma board. That's the Ukrainian gas company that was paying him $1 million a year. In May 2014, Kerry's stepson, Christopher Hines, who was a business partner of Hunter's, emailed his father to inform him of Hunter's appointment to the board and to distance himself from the decision. I didn't do it, Dad. I don't know what somebody else did that. I didn't put the dent in the car,
But they keep wanting to talk. I'm shocked, or I guess I'm more like bewildered that Democrats keep wanting to bring this up. I mean, not directly. They want to talk about Russia and Russia interference. Well, we're looking at the latest reports. Well, what's the Russia interference? All they want to say is, there's Russia interference. But then you say, well, how are they interfering? Well, they have an agent in Washington. Well, what's he doing? Well, he's going around talking about Hunter Biden. What did Hunter Biden do? And then we've got to relive this all over again. And this does not look good for their candidate, for their nominee, the person who they want to be president. We have to talk about his son. It's a very ugly web that they've got going on there, that they keep wanting to talk about it because they, for some reason, think that anytime you bring up Russia, that's a net positive for Democrats. I'm telling you, it's not. It wasn't during impeachment, and it's not going to be during this election.
Right. And by the way, Kerry lied about it when he was asked about this. Last year, he said, I had no knowledge about any of that. None. No. And that was a lie. He wasn't under oath. But and so you talk about Russia. Apparently, the wife of the former Moscow mayor, who was ousted because he was accused of corruption himself, his wife, who became the first female billionaire in Russia, I wonder how, she wired $3.5 million as part of a consultancy agreement to a company that that Hunter Biden controlled. $3.5 million. You're going to hire an alcoholic, whoremongering coke addict, leaving the crack pipe in the rented car, reprobate who's sleeping with his sister-in-law. You're going to hire him? You're going to give him $3.5 million for consulting? What kind of consulting does that guy do?
And as big of a dirtbag as Michael Cohen is, he embarrasses himself every time he goes on TV. But what he was accused of doing was, some hundreds of $1,000s in tax evasion, stuff with medallions for taxis. I'm sorry, but that's all peanuts when you look at what Joe Biden's own son was doing. It was a lot of money coming from Russia, a lot of money coming from China. I mean, it all just looks really bad. And again, it makes anything Trump's associates have done look like petty crimes.
Yeah, I'm just trying to think of a headline. Senate report accuses Donald Trump Jr. of paying for hookers who may have been trafficked. Do you think this would be getting a little more play on CNN and MSNBC than the story, the real headline is getting this afternoon? So listen, tell us about your book, Grow Up and Vote for Trump. What's it about, Eddie?
Well, I was just looking into it's timely for the campaign. Obviously, we've got a little bit more than a month to go, but very, very timely. And it's just everything that your listeners have seen throughout the last year, the whining, the complaining from the left, the Democrats, and they believe that this is how they can get what they want. It's to just whine their way to it. They're going to wear the voters down, independent voters down, and say, you don't want to hear this anymore, right? So give us what we want. That's what children do. And I understand that there are a lot of independent voters out there who say, I don't like Trump the way he tweets. I don't like the way he talks. He's kind of rude. I kind of think he's tacky. Well, you know what? Being an adult means doing a lot of things you don't want to do a lot of times, but you have to make the right choice. You make the responsible choice. And if it means, putting up with that for another 4 years versus handing the keys to the kingdom over to the children, the whiners that say, well, I've been victimized, I've been oppressed based on my race or my gender, whatever you have. I think it's time to just kind of grow up, make the responsible decision, and the responsible decision is, as it stands, to vote again for Donald Trump.
Yeah, I think he's doing okay, actually. I'm more concerned about these courts in these Democrat states like Wisconsin, like Michigan, like Pennsylvania. They're going to try to steal the election. I mean, that's my only concern here. I'm increasingly convinced that he's going to win. I saw his one poll. He opened up a 4-point lead in Florida. I don't usually like to talk much about polls, but if a poll in a Democrat polling outfit has him up 4 points, Eddie, he's got to be way ahead in Florida, doesn't he?
I think that's right. And I keep hearing about the polls and how well Biden's doing, but I don't see any difference between. I mean, there are some demographic differences, but I don't see any difference between now and 2016. If anything, I think Trump won just by nature of the incumbency. Two, because the Biden voters, the ones that are supposed to be excited about him, are just not, and that's a lot of black voters. It's a lot of Latino voters. You might get them on the phone to say, yeah, I'm supporting Biden. It's a whole other different story to actually see them go on election day to the polls. Trump voters, if they say I'm voting for Trump, they will crawl over glass, they will crawl through fire to make sure they vote for Trump. That is just not the case for Biden. So I'm not seeing much of a difference at all between now and 2016, no matter how much the media keeps hyping up these polls. I think it's basically the same thing, and I think there was a period of time about maybe 3 months ago where I thought Trump was probably cooked, but it looks like he's coming back, and a lot of that is just because of these Black Lives Matter riots, the vandalism, the looting, the stealing, the violence. A lot of people are saying that and saying, you know what, I can't be for the party that's embracing that, and that is the Democratic Party.
And they're showing pictures on the internet of the situation in Louisville, all these demonstrators. I mean, granted, it's a very half-hearted demonstration at this point, but they, as soon as they announced that there weren't going to be any indictments for the Taylor shooting, they went out. They had all their signs and their shields in the car. They were all ready to go. They had an SUV full of stuff, and now they've got these shields and the signs. I mean, it was just it's like a rent-a-mob that's out there. This is not going to win votes for Joe Biden. You're right. It's not.
Well, right, all the noise-making, the whining, the complaining, this is honestly what they believe is how you affect change, is just whine until you get what you want. I would say, however, you said that it looks like a half-hearted demonstration. One, the city was smart to 2 days in advance say, let's shut down downtown so no one can get around here. But I would still say wait till nightfall. I live in D.C., that's when it happened here, so we'll see.
I know. Yeah, we'll know more in 3 or 4 hours how much it's going to be. It looks like right now there's as many media people following around these fat basement dwelling white kids with tattoos. Who I wonder how they got a day off from their jobs, Eddie. Did they take a sick day or a vacation day from their very, very important positions? All right, Eddie Scarry, thanks for being with us. We appreciate it. The title of his book is Grow Up and Vote for Trump. It's a paperback book. You can buy it at Amazon or any fine bookstore anywhere. 844-500-4242. Thanks, Eddie. Talking about erectile dysfunction isn't easy. Usually we just brush it off or blame ourselves, saying things like, I lost my mojo. Or we avoid it altogether with excuses like, I had a long day at work, or, sorry, honey, I'm just not feeling it. But with Roman, it is easy to talk about it. With a healthcare professional who can prescribe real medication. It's simple, safe, and totally discreet. With Roman, you can get a free online evaluation and ongoing care for erectile dysfunction, all from the comfort and privacy of your own home. It's still not that easy to get an appointment with a healthcare professional at a medical clinic or a hospital or anywhere like that. And you certainly don't want to go to a pharmacy and have to put on a mask and go down the one-way aisles and all that sort of thing. You don't have to worry about that kind of thing with Roman. A healthcare professional will work with you to find the best treatment plan available. If medication is appropriate, Roman will ship it to you with free 2-day shipping. The whole process is straightforward, simple, and discreet. Getting started is simple. Just go to GetRoman.com/Howie and complete an online visit. Erectile dysfunction used to be tough to tackle, but now there's Roman. Complete an online visit today to connect with a healthcare professional and take care of it. Go to GetRoman.com/Howie today. If approved, you'll get $15 off your first order of erectile dysfunction treatment. That's GetRoman.com/Howie. GetRoman.com/Howie. I'm Howie Carr.
Howie Carr will return after this brief commercial break.
This hour of the Howie Carr Show is brought to you in part by J.T. Kelly, real estate broker of Keller Williams, serving Greater Boston. Have you considered buying or selling in Greater Boston this year? J.T. Kelly is making Boston area real estate great again. 1-800-364-9200.
President Trump's life has changed a lot in the last couple of years, but one thing that remains consistent, his love for a good nickname.
What happened to Mini Mike? Where's he? Mini Mike, I've had him up to here. Sleepy Joe has no idea what he's even talking. He doesn't even know what he's talking about. Sleepy Joe, get off the stage, please. I don't think the guy's got a chance. Sleepy Joe, I don't think he's got it. I don't know. I think Sleepy Joe may be able to limp across the finish line. Crying Chuck. I don't want to say Crazy Nancy because if I say that, you're going to say it's a copy of Crazy Bernie, and that's no good. Who that judge? Alfred E. Newman. You know, I thought Pocahontas was gone, left in embers. I should have saved the Pocahontas thing for another year. Did you ever hear Pocahontas? It's Pocahontas, Elizabeth Warren. Little pencil neck Adam Schiff. Got the smallest, thinnest neck I've ever seen. But Nancy Pelosi, I call her Nervous Nancy. Crooked Hillary. Crooked Hillary Clinton. Bill Clinton said to Crooked Hillary. Crooked Hillary, do you think he calls her Crooked Hillary? Mike?
Here's how it works with my retirement accounts, and I'll bet yours too. If your 401k, your SEP, your IRA, whatever, is going up, you probably don't think very much about it, right? But if it's going down, well, there's nothing much else you can think of. So for the last couple of years, none of us have been worrying much about those quarterly statements. But lately, it's gotten a little worrisome. It's not that bad, not yet anyway, but what goes up must come down. Now is the time to start thinking about adjusting your investments. Gold and silver have always been a hedge against stock market volatility. Uncertainty about the future has traditionally met rising prices for precious metals. Orion Metal Exchange is the only precious metals company I trust. Give Orion a call to get a free, no-obligation investment guide about protecting your future with an enduring investment in gold and silver. You've got nothing to lose and everything to gain, including peace of mind, by calling Orion Metal Exchange now. Call them today at 800-912-2300. And with Orion, you'll get more metal for your money. Call 800-912-2300. That's 800-912-2300.
President Trump is clearly ethically unfit and intellectually unprepared to be the president of the United States. And I support Chairwoman. In the coming weeks, the House will hold hearings. Congresswoman Harris, Senator Harris. He's our president, and I would rather he not be taking something that has not been approved, especially in his age group and in his, shall we say, weight group, what is morbidly obese, they say. So completely inappropriate in so many ways that it's almost a given. It's like a child who comes in with mud on their pants or something. That's the way it is. They're outside playing. That's what he comes in with doggy do on his shoes, and everybody who works with him has that on their shoes too. But I only will do that if you tell me that this legislation is worthy of George Kirby's name. This moment of national anguish.
Hi, this is Cindy from Osterville, Massachusetts.
This is Brett Rock from Dunstable, Massachusetts.
This is Amy in Lisbon Falls, Maine, and this is the Howie Carr Show.
Are they going to say that all this Hunter Biden news, all 87 pages, is just a debunked conspiracy theory? They love that expression, the debunked conspiracy theory. That means they deny it. Once they say I didn't, it's like you get caught with a machine gun and blood all over you, and you're accused of 10 murders, and you go into court and they say, how do you plead? And you say not guilty, and then you go out and say that there's a debunked conspiracy theory. I just pleaded not guilty. I mean, What the hell? Does anybody think he wasn't consorting with East European and Ukrainian human trafficking rings? It's what he does. 844-500-4242. That is the toll-free number of the Howie Carr Show. Let's play the cut of Trump talking about Biden having a lid on his campaign yesterday. I guess he went off to Charlotte, North Carolina today to campaign, but we haven't gotten any cuts from him yet, so I don't know. Oh, we do. We have some cuts from Biden. Are they good? Are they good cuts?
They're pretty decent, 13 and 14.
Okay, let's play. Okay, we got some cuts then. Okay, let's. I apologize. 13, cut 13.
And look, the other thing is that if you think about it, the FEMA, the Federal Emergency, they had agreed that they were going to provide masks for schools.
FEMA, the Federal Emergency, yeah. Okay, then he takes out his notes to quote Trump. Cut 14.
Nobody is really dying. He said, elderly people are dying, and they're dying because they have heart conditions, others, but quote, quote, they're virtually nobodies. They're the only ones dying.
Quote, quote, they're virtually nobodies? Quote, quote. Got another one.
I can really do yes or no if you ask me an easy question.
All right, so we have one more easy question. It's going to be an easy question.
What?
He wanted easy yes or no questions, taking questions at the Charlotte event today.
Yes or no? Yes or no?
I can really do yes or no if you ask me an easy question.
All right, so we have one more easy question. It's going to be an easy question.
Now I guess he's heading back to the basement. So there'll be another lid on the campaign. Is that like when you lock the door in the mental institution from the outside so the guy can't wander off and get into trouble? I mean, is there a silver alert when Joe leaves the basement? I hope this debate comes off. It's 6 days away. 6 days away. 844-500-4242. I love this. This was my laugh out loud line last night with Trump at the debate in suburban Pittsburgh. Moon Township, it was called. Moon Township. I loved it. Cut one.
They have the Green New Deal, where there will be no energy almost of any kind. No, it's crazy. Thought of by AOC +3. You know AOC? Not a good student, not good at anything, but she's got a good line of crap, I'll tell you. He's got a hell of a line.
That's probably close to the best description I've ever heard of AOC. She has a good line of crap. And not a good student either. And I say that as a former adjunct professor at her alma mater, Boston University, which I'm not too proud of anymore. 844-500-4242. We'll be right back. I'm Howie Carr. Here's how it works with my retirement accounts, and I'll bet yours too. If your 401k, your SEP, your IRA, whatever, is going up, you probably don't think very much about it, right? But if it's going down, well, there's nothing much else you can think of. So for the last couple of years, none of us have been worrying much about those quarterly statements. But lately, it's gotten a little worrisome. It's not that bad, not yet anyway, but what goes up must come down. Now is the time to start thinking about adjusting your investments. Gold and silver have always been a hedge against stock market volatility. Uncertainty about the future has traditionally met rising prices for precious metals. Orion Metal Exchange is the only precious metals company I trust. Give Orion a call to get a free, no-obligation investment guide about protecting your future with an enduring investment in gold and silver. You've got nothing to lose and everything to gain, including peace of mind, by calling Orion Metal Exchange now. Call them today at 800-912-2300. And with Orion, you'll get more metal for your money. Call 800-912-2300. That's 800-912-2300.
Jim Acosta, without a doubt, wins the competition for Trump's least favorite journalist of all time. Let's listen to some of their feistier moments.
I'll tell you what, CNN should be ashamed of itself having you working for them. You are a rude, terrible person. You shouldn't be working for CNN. Should I let him have a little bit more? What do you think, Peter? Peter, should I let him have a little bit more? Sit down. I'm changing it from fake news, though.
Doesn't that undermine...
Very fake news.
I know, but aren't you...
When I raise money... Excuse me. I've watched you on television. You're a real beauty. Honestly, I think you should let me run the country. You run CNN. All right. And if you did it well, your ratings would be much better.
If I may ask one other question. Mr. President, if I may ask one other question, are you worried...
That's enough. That's enough.
Mr. President, what do you say to your critics who say that you're concocting a national emergency here in order to get your wall because you couldn't get it through other ways?
What do you think? Do you think I'm creating something? Ask these incredible women who lost their daughters and their sons, because your question is a very political question, because you have an agenda. You're CNN. You're fake news.
The Democrat Party is so full of loonies, social justice warriors, progressives, whatever you want to call them, that sometimes certain moonbats get overlooked. So let's take this moment to shine the woke spotlight on Crazy Mazie Hirono.
I am not going to be a fool to Mitch McConnell's shenanigans. Why should any of us? And it's not just a dog whistle, it's a bullhorn. Bullhorns. It's racism. It's basically, for many people, it's anti-Semitic. It's white supremacy.
Why not take a stand and vote yes for it? Seems like you're trying to have it both ways, not be hung by it politically, but also not say that you don't support it.
I disagree with you, Katie, that why should we engage in the kind of sham shenanigans that Mitch McConnell is really good at? I'm confused. This was just a sham.
Guess who's perpetuating all of these kinds of actions? It's the men in this country, and I just want to say to the men in this country, just shut up and step up.
I think the noose is closing, and, Giuliani is like a loose cannon, and so is the president, frankly.
You're listening to the Howie Carr Show.
Hair loss is not one of life's more enjoyable experiences. If you're looking to fill in your hairline or reverse years of hair loss, DiStefano Hair Restoration will create a result that will be a transformative experience. The result of my IGT procedure was quite remarkable. I now have fuller, thicker hair, so I can even wear it a bit longer. There are a few major decisions I've made in my life that I wish I did sooner. My hair restoration is number one. It was by far one of the best moves I've ever made. My hair looks awesome, and the confidence from having a full head of hair again has left me feeling great. I used to look in the mirror and dreaded seeing my ever-increasing bald spot. Now when I look in the mirror, I see the new me with a full head of thick hair. For information on how to make the same choice I did, go to hairman.com/Howie. What are you waiting for? More hair to fall out? Get the hair you've always wanted. Hairman.com/Howie.
He is the youngest senator that is going to be running. In his video, he also mentioned he's the only senator that lives in the inner city, and he's an unmarried vegan. So a lot of very unique qualities Cory Booker brings to the table, Kate.
Now, I appreciate the comments of my colleagues. This is about the closest I'll probably ever have in my life to an I am Spartacus moment. I am Spartacus. I am Spartacus.
Joey, you like movies about gladiators?
Have you ever had an LGBTQ law clerk?
I've not been a judge, so I don't have any law clerks.
Someone working for you.
I'm to be honest, I don't know the sexual orientation of my staff.
When Dick Durbin called me, I had tears of rage when I heard about this experience in that meeting. And for you not to feel that hurt, tears of rage.
Would you just stop being so dramatic?
I'm a big believer that if this country hasn't broken your heart, then you don't love her enough.
He's New England's talk radio king. He's Howie Carr.
The only French term I like is sans culotte, without trousers. I used to describe Ted Kennedy as sans culotte, because after the O'Bar incident, when he was wandering around down on the beach, with his 20th Scotch tumbler of the day in his hand, stumbling around with he was just there, as the Michelle Cassone, Patches Date said, he was just there, without trousers. Or Or as we say in Paris, sans culotte.
We've seen nothing that we can work, that I can work with President Bush on, and I'm disappointed because I thought that there might be some interest because of what he said in the campaign.
President Bush, this is your brain. This is your brain on Botox, okay? That's the lesson of that one.
You're listening to the Howie Carr Show.
The word that's helping Elizabeth Warren get through her so-so campaign? So.
Will you raise taxes on the middle class to pay for it, yes or no?
So the way I see this, so understand, taxing income is not going to get you where you need to be the way taxing wealth does. So no, and I'm not here to criticize other Democrats. So my proposal is that student loan debt would be canceled up to $50,000.
So, Elizabeth, can you put this issue to bed and tell us whether or not you are, in fact, a member of a minority group?
So, middle-class families.
Why did you list yourself as an American Indian on this Texas bar application?
So, I grew up out in Oklahoma. So, look.
Why did you check those boxes?
We all shop online, and now you could do it a better way with Honey. Honey is the free online shopping tool that automatically finds the best promo codes and applies them to your cart. Just download Honey to your computer and shop on all your favorite websites like normal. When you check out, just click the Apply Coupons button that pops up. Wait a few seconds for Honey to scan its database of all the working coupons on the web. Then watch your price drop. Honey works on nearly every online store, including Walmart, Target, Home Depot, Macy's, Etsy, and more. And Honey has found over $2 billion in savings for its users. That's why it has over 100,000 five-star reviews on the Google Chrome store. It's 100% free to use and installs in seconds. Plus, it's backed by PayPal, so you know it's secure and reliable. Not using Honey is literally passing up free money. So get Honey for free today at joinhoney.com/Howie. That's joinhoney.com/Howie. And now, another minute of Madam Speaker, Nancy Pelosi.
But again,
You have these wings, AOC and her group on one side.
That's like 5 people. They would say, play games, and then they'd say, open sesame. Except we don't say sesame, we say open Biden. But no, because we are not. We have the number is growing. We have 91 women. There are 115 women in Congress, 116. 15 are Republican, 91 are Democrats. I happen to be a manifestation of...
Better strap yourself in. It's time for the Howie Carr Show.
The State Department, under Obama and Biden, believed that Joe Biden was engaging in a conflict of interest.
I did not know he was on the board of that company. No one's established that he did anything wrong or that I've done anything wrong.
The State Department detected a $7 million bribe being paid by Burisma, the company hiring Hunter Biden in Ukraine.
Here's the answer. No one ever paid me $1.5 billion. If they had, I would not be doing this interview right now.
Live from the Matthews Brothers.
Inside the Obama State Department and in the White House to make the Burisma corruption allegations go away before the 2016 election ended.
If the prosecutor's not fired, you're not getting the money. Oh, son of a bitch.
The Treasury Department flagged several transactions, foreign money flowing into companies connected to Hunter Biden as suspicious transactions.
I did my job. I never discussed a single thing with my son about anything having to do with Ukraine. I don't discuss business with my son. I never, ever had a conversation with my son about anything that I was doing. I've never spoken to my son about his overseas business dealings. There's nothing there. Ask the right questions.
Well, methinks the lady does protest too much.
Who's your captain? Howie Carr.
You know where he is today? They have a thing called the lid. He put out a lid today early in the morning. Lid means he's not going to be anywhere today. I'm working my ass off. I'm in Ohio. I'm in Texas. I'm in Florida. I'm in Michigan. I'm in Wisconsin.
Unchained and unstoppable.
I wonder in the debate, is he going to walk in with a mask? I mean, honestly, what the hell did he spend all that money on the plastic surgery if he's going to cover it up with a mask? Seriously.
Rump swabs, hacks, and moonbats beware. It's Howie Carr.
Welcome to the Howie Carr Show, and I'm going to read you a headline that you will not see tonight on the network newscasts. A headline you will not hear read on CNN or MSNBC. It's from The Federalist. Senate report accuses Hunter Biden of paying for hookers who may have been trafficked. Payments. Hunter Biden made a number of payments to foreign nationals with, quote, questionable backgrounds, unquote, or as his father would say, quote, quote, consistent with organized prostitution and or human trafficking. Records on file with the committee, this is the Senate Homeland Security and Government Affairs Committee, along with the Senate Treasury Committee, confirm, quote, quote, that Hunter Biden sent thousands of dollars to individuals who have either, one, been involved in transactions consistent with possible human trafficking, two, an association with the adult entertainment industry, where his latest baby mama worked. Dallas was her name. Or three, potential association with prostitution. Nothing to see here, folks. Move along, the mainstream media says in chorus, in unison.
The dossier seems to be coming to life. It's just not about Donald Trump.
Yeah. I'm going to go out on a limb and say there's a lot more to this one. There will be less of this dossier, 87 pages debunked, than the 37 pages of the dodgy dossier that was totally debunked.
And if you go on Twitter right now, obviously Hunter Biden's name has gotten over 600,000 tweets today, but what they're showing in their trending page is some stupid story about Eric Trump. It's hilarious because this is a huge story, and they're talking about something Eric Trump did. So he lied about a deposition or something like that.
Yeah.
No mention of prostitutes, human trafficking.
And again, let me paraphrase what Donald Trump has been saying for months now. If I did anything like Hunter Biden is accused of, I would be locked up forever, and they would throw away the key.
Oh, it's so true. It's the saddest part of the whole thing is how so many people don't care. So many of these young people don't care. And I'm so excited because we have young VIPs in here today. And it restores my faith in young conservatives because I see these people posting about Black Lives Matter and all these things. And I said once to someone, if you knew half of the actual scandals that are going on, the real Watergates, it would blow your mind. But you're not going to see it on your favorite channels. Like you said, Howie, it's not going to be on CNN. It's not going to be on MSNBC.
I know.
They're too busy comparing Trump to Hitler.
I think Mussolini should be brought into the conversation more often. You know, he was the original fascist. But again, the mainstream media doesn't know. They're not real good students of history.
Well, speaking of the mainstream media, I want to talk a little bit about Mitt Romney. So obviously yesterday we were talking about how he said he will vote to have a nominee brought forward. He didn't say whether he's going to vote yes or no.
Mitt Romney history, a word comes to mind, Grace. Footnote.
Right.
It's that.
Another phrase comes to mind, trust but verify.
Yeah, no, of course we cannot trust Mitt Romney at all. But I do enjoy the fact that he drove Cher crazy. Because if he accomplishes one thing in this lifetime, it is that he made Cher have a meltdown on Twitter, which we can all enjoy.
What's the time differential between Washington, D.C. and the planet Jupiter? Because didn't she say she was moving to the planet Jupiter after the 2016 election?
She did, and we never really saw any photos of her travels or what her house looks like there.
At first I was concerned that she was moving to Jupiter, Florida. Oh. And that was a little too close for comfort.
Right. Yeah.
But as it turns out, Jupiter, the planet.
Every story in America, in Howie's mind, just becomes how close is this person to me, to one of my residences. And in this case, Jupiter was too close. No, Howie, so reporting live from Jupiter, this is what Cher had to say. Keep in mind, she is a septuagenarian, so it was in all caps, as people above the age of 70 are wont to do. All caps.
Did she say, Mitt, I got you, babe?
No, she said...
The older VIPs got that one.
Well, I get it. It's the song, right? I keep wondering, how did they buy off Mitt Romney? Vice President Romney to President Kushner? Then President Romney with Ivanka as vice? Ivanka's good at vice. It continues.
Ivanka's good at vice?
It's very...
what?
Even for Cher.
The Daily Mail said something about Melania and Vice, and they had to settle out of court and pay hundreds of thousands of dollars.
You know in like movies when someone goes crazy and they start talking in sentences that don't make any sense, they're just shouting out words, but there's no cohesive thought? It's like Shutter Island. She's just yelling words out. What did Romney want more than a safe, prosperous America for all? He must know he'll be hated if Trump wins second term. And then she says in another tweet, President Kushner, Ivanka Jr., Mitt. Hell
Ivanka
awaits
Jr.
men. Ivanka Jr., I know.
I didn't know Ivanka Sr.
Ivanka Jr., unless JR, does JR stand for someone?
Junior. I guess that's Junior.
Ivanka Jr.
Probably supposed to be a comma in between Ivanka and Junior, meaning Don Jr.
Oh, Don.
Oh, okay. Mitt. Hell awaits men who sell their souls.
Is Ivanka a man?
I know. She needs to get back to singing. And give us some hits, Cher.
No, please no.
The beat goes on.
But that's not the only hilarious celebrity news. This story really made me happy last night. And it's not often that a story about a celebrity really brightens my day. In true hypocritical fashion, Alyssa Milano, who's a huge fan.
This is a great story. Listen up, folks. This is a good one.
A huge fan of Defund the Police. She's part of that movement. She's tweeted about it before, hashtag Defund the Police. Unfortunately, she had to call 911 after spotting an armed intruder on her property. Now, the thing about the armed intruder was, spoiler alert.
Wait. Tell how many armed military
I will get
vehicles
to that.
Containing weapons of war.
Now, hold on.
Responded.
I will get to that, but I think it's important to let people know that the armed intruder was actually a teen with an air rifle who was shooting at squirrels. Still, we had...
This has already been... The police in Ventura County have already named this incident Squirrel Gate.
8 different police officers and even the fire department showed up to her house on Sunday.
Too.
Oh, there was a helicopter. But what
it was the biggest moment in American law enforcement since Roger Stone was taken into custody in Broward County, Florida.
So every time something like this happens, I sometimes think to myself, I wonder if I look at her Twitter. Obviously, I don't follow her, but if I went on her Twitter, would she have a moment of, a come to Jesus where she goes, wow, I'm really understanding now how much of a hypocrite I am? No. She was like, it looks as if some right-wing trolls are trying to draw a connection between my Defund the Police and a neighbor of mine calling the police. She blamed the neighbor. No one has any self-awareness in Hollywood. Just say that you look like a boob and we'll all move on.
An air rifle.
Shooting squirrels. Thank God the cops were there, Alyssa. And then she went on to say,
and the guy that was shooting squirrels, it wasn't even Mike Huckabee, who I think of as the most famous squirrel hunter in America.
But she went on to say, well, this is a perfect reason for the cops to come. I support this. I support the cops coming for this. I don't support police brutality.
Yeah. I support the cops coming to protect beautiful people like myself. I don't support the cops coming to protect deplorables like you.
You unwashed boat people.
You irredeemable. You bitter clinger, you have no right to call 911 when I might have someone shooting at squirrels on my property with an air rifle.
Grace Curley, you should just have a knife by your bed and stab the intruder in the ankle. There's no reason for you to call the police, you fool. Yeah, Howie, so when we get back, I have more news, including, it's a trifecta. We had Cher, we had Alyssa Milano. You know who's next?
Who?
Rosie O'Donnell.
No, not Rosie O'Donnell. Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez is next.
Oh.
I'm really bringing the heat today.
The woman who's got a good line of crap, as President Trump said last night.
I'm actually going to be highlighting some of that right now.
All right. Okay. Yesterday I was up in Nashua, New Hampshire visiting Perfect Smiles. I noticed they had a big white box on a side table in the lobby. I asked them what it was. They said it was their air purification system. Right away, they said, I wish I had known about the Thunderstorm air purification system first. Their system cost over $1,000. The Thunderstorm is a small device, just like the one I'm holding in my hand right now. It plugs into your electrical outlet or into your car by USB cable to purify the air. The great part is it's well under $100 with the code word Howie BOGO. That's Howie BOGO, just for today only. That means buy one, get one. The Thunderstorm air purifier works like a real thunderstorm. It quietly sends out super oxygen and ions to kill odors in your room. We put it up in our office kitchen also to wipe out smells from heating up food in the microwave. Many use it to remove pet smells. I never thought our office had a bad smell, but now when I open the door, it smells fresh, just like after a thunderstorm.
Mostly Howie's food that makes the smell.
Yeah, I was going to say, can we add that to the script here?
The garbage can nachos? Come on.
The fish, the shrimp.
I haven't brought fish in for a long time since the complaints, but
Howie,
it doesn't matter.
You should bring
when
it
I got
in now.
this,
We have the thunderstorm.
The thunderstorm
We're prepared.
makes it okay. You can buy 10 of these thunderstorms and still spend less money than the one I saw at Perfect Smiles yesterday. Today only, you can buy a thunderstorm and you will get one free. You will get one free. Buy one, get one free. Today only. It's with the code word Howie BOGO, B-O-G-O. Buy one, get one free. They've never had this offer before, and it's one day only. Get two today at EdenPure.com for the price of one. That's EdenPure.com, and don't forget code word Howie BOGO at checkout. You're not going to regret this. I'm Howie Carr.
If you change the station, the Moonbats win. You're listening to the Howie Carr Show.
This hour of the Howie Carr Show is brought to you in part by the Villa in Wayland, celebrating over 70 years in business. From my favorite, veal parm, to their seafood dinners, the Villa has all your home-cooked favorites. Who loves you, baby? The Villa, that's who.
We all love President Trump's off-the-cuff comments, but he's never in rarer form than when he's speaking at a rally. Take a listen.
I hit Pocahontas way too early. I thought she was gone. She's emerged from the ashes. And now it looks like she could beat Sleepy Joe. He's fallen asleep. He has no idea what the hell he's doing or saying. I don't know. I'm not a vain person. But I look better under an incandescent light than these crazy lights that are beaming down on.
That guy's got a serious weight problem. Go home, start exercising. Got a bigger problem than I do.
Now he goes home and his mom says, what the hell have you just done? How do you top that? I'm just ready, the big, beautiful crescendo, and this character's going back home. One person just going home to mommy a little bit sooner. Ah, these are phony people, but that's okay. You know, when you think of it, I'm president, and they're not. You really have to elect me. Whether you like me or not, it makes no difference, because our country will go to hell if any of these people get in.
Here's how it works with my retirement accounts, and I'll bet yours too. If your 401k, your SEP, your IRA, whatever, is going up, you probably don't think very much about it, right? But if it's going down, well, there's nothing much else you can think of. So for the last couple of years, none of us have been worrying much about those quarterly statements. But lately, it's gotten a little worrisome. It's not that bad, not yet anyway, but what goes up must come down. Now is the time to start thinking about adjusting your investments. Gold and silver have always been a hedge against stock market volatility. Uncertainty about the future has traditionally met rising prices for precious metals. Orion Metal Exchange is the only precious metals company I trust. Give Orion a call to get a free, no-obligation investment guide about protecting your future with an enduring investment in gold and silver. You've got nothing to lose and everything to gain, including peace of mind, by calling Orion Metal Exchange now. Call them today at 800-912-2300. And with Orion, you'll get more metal for your money. Call 800-912-2300. That's 800-912-2300. And now, some of my favorite fake Indian cuts of all time.
I'm not going to ask you for your favorite curse word. Actually, I am. Do you have a favorite curse word?
Poop.
Poop? Oh, that's a goody two-shoes favorite curse word if I ever heard one.
Are you kidding? Have you ever seen a woman like me look you straight in the face after you finished some long explanation of something and then just said, poop? Hold on a sec. I'm going to get me a beer.
I am not sure what she's talking about as far as a rally with.
It was a rally in Bern, ordered by is that you have to figure out who you are. I grew up in a family that was barely hanging on to the ragged edge of the middle class. And my Aunt Bee has walked by that picture at least 1,000 times, remarked that her father, my papa, had high cheekbones like all of the Indians do.
This is Kevin from Brockton.
This is Karen from Boiling Springs, South Carolina.
This is Officer Mark calling from beautiful Stratford County, New Hampshire. And this is the Howie Carr Show.
Hey, Alyssa Milano, next time you need help, call Antifa.
No, call a social worker.
Yeah, well, it's, they used to say next time you need help, call a hippie. That was big. That was a bumper sticker that was somewhat popular in the early 70s. Raycon's newest wireless earbuds, the Everyday E25s, are their best ones yet, with 6 hours of playtime, seamless Bluetooth pairing, and a noise-isolating fit that really allows you to focus on what you're listening to. Get 15% off Raycon wireless earbuds at buyraycon.com/Howie. That's buyraycon.com/Howie. Taylor, what's the poll question? What are the results thus far?
Will Joe Biden wear a mask at the debate?
I think he will. He'll take it off, but he will wear it out onto the stage so that he can say, I want to be your president, but I'm as submissive. I will give in to any stupid order, just like you. My Karens, who I'm counting on to vote for me.
He's definitely going to wear it and virtue signal that he's the candidate of science.
Yes, he's the candidate of submission would be my word, but yes, starts with an S.
I mean, if he has it his way, he'll probably throw the aviators on too and just have his whole face covered. He loves that look.
It's not a good look. He looks like the Invisible Man when he puts all that on.
Yeah, he does. And he loves it.
And then when he opens his mouth, he sounds like the Invisible Man.
80% say he'll probably wear a mask at the debate.
Well, Kamala Harris, who's going to be his vice president if he wins, or she's really going to be the president, but, we're still playing the charade.
Biden administration, they both say that.
She gave an entire speech yesterday with the mask on, up at the podium by herself with the mask on, which just, even Charlie Baker takes his mask off.
The good thing about the wearing the mask is, if it turns out you say something stupid, as Kamala so often does, whether she comes out for abolishing the private health care system and then says, I didn't say it, or she starts laughing hysterically when someone calls the president retarded. So if she wears the mask, she can always say, you didn't hear me right. It was that damn mask.
I didn't say
that. That's not what I said. I didn't say that.
That's so true. I never thought of it like that.
They used to always say, they always used to tell, the old line gangsters used to tell the young guys, never talk to cops. They said, well, shouldn't you be polite and, just not irritate them? And the old gangsters say, no. If you talk to them, if they pick you up on a wiretap, they'll be able to say they recognize your voice. Oh, so don't give them that in.
Right. Well, I have another question, Howie, for you, which I just thought of. If you were stuck in a padded cell for 24 hours and you could not fall asleep, would you rather listen to Joe Biden whispering sweet nothings or Kamala Harris laughing on repeat?
Joe Biden.
The whisper? I honestly think I would pick Kamala. I don't think I couldn't handle it. Not at all. I really couldn't. Anyway, though, guys, I have more.
What's the person making 50, 60, or even the family making $120,000 a year? How much did you get?
Oh.
How much richer?
It's scary. It sneaks up on you. Sometimes he's going and you don't think it's coming, and then he whispers.
I don't know how old he is, but I'm not the president. He's the president.
Okay. Anyway, guys, this new segment is brought to you by Genesis 950. If you're thinking of replacing your carpets due to pet stains and odors, you must try Genesis 950 first. But I just want to say, we talk about pets a lot. I don't have any pets, and I am Genesis 950's #1 fan. Your daughter, Carolyn, does not have any pets, and she uses it all the time. So it's not only a pet thing. It's just if you like a really good cleaner.
She bought a new house, and the house needed some fixer-upper type cleaning, not just work, but cleaning, and that's what she uses it
And
for.
in comes Howie with the big spray bottle, and I'm sure she was a little skeptical, like, Dad, I don't think so. But then you used it, and she said it worked wonders.
Yeah.
And now she's a big fan.
She knows dear old Dad isn't always full of it.
Yes.
Sometimes he's on it.
Not at all. I try not to whisper very much to her, though, because then they'll throw a net over me.
Order a gallon direct at Genesis950.com. Enter code Howie to get more than $10 in savings. I want to hit this story really quick before I leave. AOC urges city, state tax hikes to fund New York City schools. She is calling for tax hikes and to raise revenue to fund universal child care programs, significantly increase staffing at schools, and fund the infrastructure improvements, including...
Who's going to pay for these taxes, considering everyone with a job is leaving the city or has left the city?
But Howie, I have to give this example.
All the restaurants are out of business.
I just gave to the VIPs here. Sometimes you have to read the room. For example, if I'm driving home with my mom when I'm younger and she's in a bad mood, I don't ask if we can stop at McDonald's because I know she's already mad. Read the room of New York. People are already trying to get out of there. And your solution is, oh, we're going to make it even more expensive.
Maybe she should think about raising the taxes on the moving vans.
Yes.
That could be a good, solid source of added income.
You're so...
I'm Howie Carr.
The 2020 elections have the potential to shape the next decade financially. That's especially true if you're within 10 years of retirement. Is your plan ready? Find out with a portfolio stress test from Kevin Frisbee at Frisbee & Associates. Call 800-989-9100 for your no-cost, no-obligation analysis. Kevin can help uncover any hidden fees that may be lurking in your plan. The team at Frisbee & Associates are up to date on all the latest rules and regulations, from what the Secure Act is and isn't to Social Security and Medicare. Let Kevin and the team give you peace of mind as you get near retirement. Make sure your plan is ready for whatever happens come November. It starts with a phone call to Frisbee & Associates, 800-989-9100. And be sure and catch Kevin on the Howie Carr radio program every Thursday at 3:50 as he reviews the market. Call Kevin now at 800-989-9100. 800-989-9100.
The Moonbats always say Donald Trump isn't very bright. But what about Barack Hussein Obama? Let's listen to some of his greatest hits.
I've now been in 57 states. I think one left to go. I don't know what the term is in Austrian.
The Cambridge police acted stupidly.
And there has never been any man or woman more qualified for this office than Hillary Clinton.
There are neighborhoods around the country where it is easier for a 12 or 13-year-old to purchase a gun and cheaper than it is for them to get a book.
I believe in the Second Amendment. It's there written on the paper.
If we fall for, a bunch of okey doke.
A few months ago, when you were asked what's the biggest geopolitical threat facing America, you said Russia, not Al-Qaeda. You said Russia. In the 1980s are now calling to ask for their foreign policy back.
With all the uncertainty in the world, feeling safe at home has never been more important. It's why I want to talk to you about Simply Safe Home Security. They're longtime friends of the Howie Carr Show, and for good reason. Simply Safe has made it easy to finally get comprehensive protection for your home. There's no technician or salesperson that needs to come and disrupt your house. You don't need to pay any outrageous monthly fees or sign a 2-year contract. You just order online, set it up yourself in under an hour, and your home is protected 24/7 with emergency dispatch for break-ins, fire, and more. All for just 50 cents a day. And we're not the only fans of Simply Safe. U.S. News and World Report named Simply Safe Best Overall Home Security of 2020. Go to simplysafehowie.com to try it out for yourself. That's simplysafehowie.com to make sure they know that our show sent you. That's simplysafehowie.com.
And now, 1 minute of Nancy Pelosi.
It is a bill that is much needed for our farmers and ranchers. I think there are only 47 votes against it in the House of Representatives. The American people should know the source of it. Again, we are engaged in the year-end continuing resolution Homeland Security. I'm not sure. No, I haven't spoken to him since he called the other day, which was a very amicable conversation. Amiable, I guess you would say, not amicable. And I talked to Chuck last night to say, we haven't had an answer. There are other things that are going on that are newsworthy, and I think you'd have more viewers or readers if it would address concerns that people have. The list goes on about the
Joe Biden accuses Trump of being a racist, but if you listen to Biden's comments, you would agree that he doth protest too much.
If you take a test where you're taking cocaine or not, what do you think, huh? Are you a junkie?
What do you say? The first mainstream African-American who is articulate and bright and clean. And Madam President, we have predators on our streets.
That kid wearing a hoodie may very well be the next poet laureate and not a gangbanger.
They are beyond the pale, many of those people.
God love you. You've been here all day. My Lord, you may feel like you're being incarcerated.
We have no choice but to take them out of society.
Poor kids are just as bright and just as talented as white kids.
I think the two-party system is good for the South and good for the Negro.
They're going to put you all back in chains. Unlike the African-American community, with notable exceptions, the Latino community is an incredibly diverse community with incredibly different attitudes about different things. If you have a problem figuring out whether you're for me or Trump, and you ain't black.
Live from the Matthews Brothers Studios.
844-500-4242. You've seen him on TV many nights. He's a big supporter of President Trump. He's from Florida. He's Matt Gaetz. He's the congressman from Florida. He's got a new book out, Firebrand: Dispatches from the Front Lines of the MAGA Revolution. Congressman Matt Gaetz, thanks for being with us here on the Howie Carr Show.
Thanks for having me. Good to be on with you.
So is Florida going to be ready for any of these election day shenanigans? I'm not thinking of your area so much as I'm thinking of my area, the South Florida, Broward, Miami-Dade, and Palm Beach counties. Is there going to be any more nonsense, or is 2 years of Governor DeSantis cleaned up that area?
Governor DeSantis has had a very positive effect on the integrity of the vote in Florida. He fired the supervisors of elections in Palm Beach and Broward County after their mismanagement and malfeasance, and replaced them with folks who will actually count the vote, which is all we could possibly hope for. You mentioned Miami-Dade County. That may be the national story of this election, with more and more Hispanics abandoning the Biden campaign, abandoning this neo-Marxism of the Black Lives Matter movement that the Biden-Harris campaign continues to embrace. We are seeing numbers in Miami-Dade County unlike those we've seen for any Republican in a great deal of time. And so I'm confident that in Florida we have the right elections officials and law enforcement officials in place. Just breaking moments ago, the Florida Attorney General Ashley Moody accepted and agreed with my call to begin an investigation into Michael Bloomberg and his associates' activities in Florida, literally buying the votes of ex-felons to try to swing the election in the favor of Joe Biden. Where I'm worried is Pennsylvania, Howie. Pennsylvania, we don't have Republican elections officials. The court there is making all kind of weird decisions. And it appears as though they don't want a result on Election Day in Pennsylvania. They want to be counting votes for days and weeks after. That is deeply troubling to me, and it's one of the critical reasons why President Trump must fill this seat on the Supreme Court. We hope the Senate takes up that confirmation process with due haste, and that we have a full complement of the court to resolve these critical questions that I think at this point are probably inevitable.
Yeah, there are a lot of problems in Michigan, judges rewriting voting laws from the bench, same thing in Wisconsin. And Matt Gaetz, I'm glad you brought up Pennsylvania. I have this editorial from the Wall Street Journal, 3 days late and no postmark needed. That's the ruling on mail votes from the Pennsylvania Supreme Court. State law clearly says absentee ballots must be received by 8 p.m. on Election Day, but Thursday the court controlled by Democrats in a case filed by Democrats rewrote the law to change it. They changed the law. Even one of the Democrats on the Supreme Court wouldn't go along with this, Matt Gaetz. I mean, this is just total lawlessness.
when we all used to vote at the city hall or the town center or the local church or the elementary school, we typically knew the results of these elections by 8, 9, 10 o'clock at night. If it was really close, you might have to wait till the following morning. But with Democrats, in the name of expanding the franchise, diluting the integrity of the vote, now it appears as though it could be days, weeks before we have a winner. And Howie, you see what they intend to do with that time, with the Antifa thugs taken to the streets, with the denigration of our law enforcement. They really are trying to create a destabilizing event in our country. I mean, gosh, today on Capitol Hill, Nancy Pelosi and Jerry Nadler even talking about court packing and adding states to the United States to Senate pack. These folks accuse Donald Trump of damaging institutions of our democracy. They're doing more damage to our democracy than they ever could have accused Trump of.
Yeah, it's all projection. Everything they accuse Trump of, they have in the back of their own minds, on their own agendas. I'll just read you one more thing from this editorial from Pennsylvania. If their postmarks are missing or illegible, they will be, quote, presumed to have been mailed by Election Day, unquote, unless evidence shows otherwise. What could possibly go wrong, Congressman Gaetz?
Yeah, I mean, the Pennsylvania voting regime is just one step above message in a bottle. I mean, it's like check yes or no with elementary school students at this point. No verification, no postmark, no relationship to time and the specific event that an election is supposed to be to render a verdict on leadership in our country. It is intended to create a process of a lack of clarity, and the process then is the punishment. Voters should view these election shenanigans a lot like they viewed the Russia hoax, an effort to avoid debate, avoid a real discussion about the issues facing America, and instead an effort to simply demoralize, delegitimize, deplatform the leaders who are chosen by the voters through the Electoral College.
So are you from the same district that Joe Scarborough used to represent? You're the same general area, aren't you?
Yeah, we don't like to admit that too often, but yes, back when Joe was a conservative, he represented the Florida Panhandle, and now those are the fine folks that I serve. Don't hold it against him that we sent Joe Scarborough to fight for us in Congress a few terms.
What happened to Joe Scarborough?
Money. I think Joe Scarborough was willing to be the most conservative member of Congress when Newt Gingrich was Speaker, and when NBC News was willing to pay him $10 million a year, he was pretty much willing to say or parrot whatever they wanted him to.
I think I read a quote from you last year saying you wanted to be the Republican AOC or words to that effect. And I always wondered about that.
To paint me in that corner. No, I think AOC's got a few assets I don't, but she certainly has a command of the media, and she understands that to drive change in the country, you don't need to spend 10 years renaming post offices to become the subcommittee chairman of the Swamps and Bogs Committee. Instead, you need to rally people around the ideas that are consistent with your values. Now, unfortunately, her ideas would destroy America and turn it into, the types of governance systems that have failed around the world. My idea is that we actually put America and the American people first. It's why I wrote my book Firebrand, because I believe that the Trump values have to be able to endure beyond the Trump presidency. We need a generation of leaders who won't be eager to invade everywhere in the world and invite every illegal alien to cross our borders without any consequence. Instead, we need the type of trade deals that put our workers first. We need the type of productive economy that creates a blue-collar boom. And we need to ensure that the foreign policy that the United States engages in is for our benefit, not for the benefit of defense contractors or foreign interests.
If you were a betting man, would you bet that the Republicans can regain control of the House in this election?
For us to regain control of the House, we're going to need a few bounces to go our way. I know there are several seats the Democrats won in 2018 they had really no business winning, in South Carolina, in Oklahoma, and we should win those seats back. But, I'm less concerned about whether or not we win the slim majority, and more concerned about what we'll be fighting for if we have it. I mean, I was here in the majority when Paul Ryan was Speaker, and each day it seemed like we showed up finding new and creative ways to surrender to the left, even though we held the majority. So, whether it's this coming term or the next election, we will get a Republican majority back. I just want it to be a fighting majority, a majority that prioritizes immigration and trade as our value premise, and that we don't just, go to K Street and try to lobby for them.
But that, if there were a Republican majority now, you wouldn't have had all this nonsense with the Ukrainian impeachment hoax. And, the fact
let me push back on that. Let me push back on that, Howie. I mean, it was the Republican majority that birthed this damn Russia hoax. People like Trey Gowdy, who once were deemed like iconoclastic on the right, were out there saying that the FBI did nothing wrong. I think history will judge Trey Gowdy very harshly because he defended the FBI when they were breaking the law to try to frame the president and the people around him. And when I said those things back during the Russia hoax, it was folks like Paul Ryan and Trey Gowdy saying I was wearing a tinfoil hat and that I had, gone off the deep end with those allegations, but they all turned out to be true. And I think that it is a lesson to Republicans about how the left fights and how we have to respond.
Yeah, I agree. Trey Gowdy turned out to be a bit of a disappointment, but he came up in that federal prosecutor system, and I don't think he wanted to admit to himself that the FBI was as corrupt as it was. Same with Andrew McCarthy. I mean, he's a pretty good commentator, former U.S. prosecutor from New York, and it took him a long time to come around too, Matt. I mean, if you're from I'm from Boston, so I mean, we saw the FBI corruption firsthand here for 2 generations. We were more inclined to believe it, and Mueller was up here running it, but most people had no idea what was going on.
Well, we had Republicans in Congress giving Robert Mueller a cat bath upon his appointment. I was the first to say that Robert Mueller never should have been appointed, that he should have been removed from that position by Jeff Sessions. And by the way, it was nice to see the voters get the final verdict on Jeff Sessions' political career. But I don't give Gowdy or McCarthy or any of those so-called national security folks a lot of quarter, because they were criticizing us as Jim Jordan and Mark Meadows and Ron DeSantis and I were calling this coup what it was. We already had to fight the Democrats. We already had to fight the media. But then the fact that we had to fight Paul Ryan and Trey Gowdy and some of the Republicans made the endeavor even more troubling for the president and the presidency, and I hope we never have to go through that again. If we elect more Republican firebrands, we won't have to. Matt
Gaetz, do you think that a lot of the Republicans, especially the ones who retired in 2018, and that's a large reason you lost the control of the House, do you think a lot of them really believed the nonsense of Russian collusion and the dossier and Christopher Steele and, on Hillary Clinton's payroll? I think a lot of them actually believed it.
I think a lot of them were afraid. I think that in Washington, when the establishment starts to dictate terms on things, it's just very easy to go along with them. And that is true in both the Republican and the Democrat Party. I think it took courage for people like Andy Biggs and Doug Collins from Georgia and others to step out and say, no, this is nonsense. We should not give Mueller all of this deference to go and ruin people's lives and to cast a cloud over the presidency. We should tell him to put up or shut up. And that was what we were saying, and we turned out to be right. But the tactics that the left used during the impeachment process will be used again. They'll be used in this Supreme Court fight, and they'll be used after the president's reelected. And so I think my book is instructive on how we have to fight back. Like, we have to create the images and the moments. When Adam Schiff went down into that basement, we went down there to jailbreak the truth, and we took direct action as members of Congress to do it. I think that's the way to prevail and ensure that these America First principles truly do endure and unify the country.
They say you're known by your enemies. You have you have a nice collection of enemies, Matt Gaetz. People really hate you, and I think it speaks highly of your character. The title of your book is Firebrand, Dispatches from the Front Lines of the MAGA Revolution. Good luck, and I'm sure give my best to Joe Scarborough the next time you see him, which will be never, right? He doesn't get back to Pensacola too often, does he?
No, I think I'm off the Christmas card list.
Thank you, Matt Gaetz. I'm Howie Carr.
He's the maestro of microaggression. He's Howie Carr.
This hour of the Howie Carr Show is brought to you in part by the Follinsby Inn in North Sutton, New Hampshire. Do what Grace did and enjoy Kezar Lake, the foliage, and delicious food. To reserve your room, go to follinsbyinn.com. Special rates for midweek visits. If you're thinking of replacing your carpets due to pet stains and odors, you must try Genesis 950 first. It breaks down the bonds of stains and odors so they're gone from carpets and padding for good. You can use it in a carpet cleaning machine and it's green, so it's safe for family and pets. It was the go-to cleaner for when Mr. Gooner had an accident, as older pugs so often do. Before you purchase new carpeting, you must try Genesis 950. 1 gallon of industrial strength Genesis 950 makes up to 7 gallons of cleaner, and it's not just for pet stains. It's a disinfectant that kills viruses as well. It's also great for kitchens, garages, grease stains, wheels, tires, and more. Save yourself the trouble of going to the store and seeing your favorite cleaner sold out again. You can just order it and have it delivered right to your doorstep. Genesis 950 is made in America. Order a gallon direct at genesis950.com. Enter code Howie to get more than a $10 value in savings, including free shipping and a free spray bottle with a 1 gallon purchase of Genesis 950. Go to genesis950.com and enter code Howie.
And now, an interview with the Emperor of Hate, Howie Carr.
If you could go back in time and give your younger self advice, what would you say?
Get a state job, because behind the job comes the pension.
What's the best advice anyone's ever given you?
Most advice is pretty forgettable.
What's the best money you've ever spent?
The investment I made to leave the corporate radio prison I was in. The worst people I ever worked for, no doubt about it. I'd probably be dead if I were still working for them.
If you were on a deserted island and you could only bring 3 things, what would you bring?
A radio, a Wi-Fi system, obviously, and a computer, and I would bring some books. Don't ask me which books, too hard a question.
What was your dad's job when you were growing up?
My dad worked as a resort hotel manager. He worked in Florida at the Breakers in the winter, and then he worked at the Mountain View House, as it was called then, in Whitefield, New Hampshire, and various other places. You've been hearing me talk about Super Beets for a while now, and I'm sure some of you are still thinking, why Super Beets? You could take it from me. The benefits of Super Beets are incredible. I take them twice a day. Once in the morning when I get up, even before I have my first cup of coffee, and the other time in the afternoon, right before the show. It gives me a burst of energy. It's great for my blood pressure. It's good for circulation. It just makes you feel better. If that doesn't convince you, we can talk about the science behind Super Beets. Beets have nitrates. Nitrates support better blood flow, and better blood flow equals better energy and efficiency throughout the body, and even supports healthy blood pressure. But Super Beets does so much more than eating regular beets and is unparalleled compared to other beet powders. Just 1 scoop of Super Beets has the nitric oxide equivalent of 3 whole beets. Go to superbeetsradio.com/Howie and try out Super Beets yourself. www.superbeetsradio.com/Howie. www.superbeetsradio.com/Howie.
Brace yourself, guys. Here's 1 minute of Nancy Pelosi.
I myself have always been for lowering the voting age to 16. I think it's really important to capture kids when they're in high school, which was a very amicable conversation. Amiable, I guess you would say, not amicable. That they wanted their voices to be heard. I don't think our colleague is anti-Semitic. I think she has a different experience in the use of words. That's not the total package, but there are some of the major points of discussion, I would hope, from sea to shining sea, because they are not getting paid 163. Was it 163 Republicans voted no? Wisdom from the kitchen of the Willard Hotel, yes, ma'am. The president either doesn't know what he's talking about or doesn't want to know what he's talking about.
This is Deb in Danielson, Connecticut.
This is Greg in Boston, Mass.
This is Elizabeth in Wakefield, Massachusetts, and this is the Howie Carr Show.
844-500-4242. That's the toll-free number of the Howie Carr Show. We got time for a few calls here in the last minutes of the hour. Debbie, you're next with Howie Carr. Go ahead, Debbie.
Hi, Howie. How are you doing?
Good.
So
So I was calling about I heard you talking about the Pennsylvania governor.
Yes.
He's doing everything he could possibly do to interfere with the elections, from the primary all the way through the general election. I don't know how many people are aware of this, but in the primary elections, what he did with the mail-in voting, he extended the receipt date of the mail-in voting, but only for 5 counties out of 67.
It's like what was going on down in Florida, where they were only counting ballots days after the election in the 3 counties that 2 of which tend to go Democrat. You know, the southern counties. I mean, you can't, if you're going to have recounts, they have to go on everywhere, don't they? Not just in the Democrat areas.
We had just moved back from Florida in January, and we registered to vote when we changed our driver's license. And then I received mail saying that no one was registered to vote here. Then after that, we received the thing about the mail-in ballots. So I decided to request one because I didn't know what was going to happen with the in-person voting, and I wasn't receiving it in the mail. So I called my county board of elections, and she informed me that they didn't even receive them until May 23rd, and voting was on June 5th.
It's just a real mess. And, the courts, this again from the Wall Street Journal editorial, the courts will decide who wins Pennsylvania and maybe even the presidency, thanks to the Pennsylvania court. This is the highest court in the state. They're all elected judges in Pennsylvania, and there are 5 Democrats and 2 Republicans. And the 2 Republicans and one of the Democrats, who was on the level, I guess, go figure that, decided that they weren't going to vote for this nonsense. Thanks to the Pennsylvania court, thousands of voters might not mail their ballots until November 3rd, possibly meaning no winner for days. Lawsuits will send vote counting into the courts. Any doubt which candidate the Pennsylvania Supreme Court will favor? 5 Democrats, 2 Republicans. I think we know it's the way it's going to go. If a close Pennsylvania election ends in rancor and the results is a winner on that one side or the other claims is illegitimate, the 4 Keystone state justices will deserve top billing as culprits. That's tough, but it's true, I think. Thanks for the call, Debbie. Chase, you're next with Howie Carr. Go ahead, Chase.
Oh, man, listening to that Matt, legislator or congressman, can we clone about 200 of him?
They'd have problems in a lot of places.
The man that I've got.
Excuse me?
Oh, yeah, the man that I'm in Pennsylvania now living. I'm from Virginia originally, but the man I've got now is my Congress. It's just milk toast. He's the people that were, got voted out in 2018, the Republicans in the House. And you wondered, did they have any kind of sense at all of what they were just kowtowing to the Democrats?
Yeah, I know. There was Paul Ryan was so disastrous. I mean, how bad is Paul Ryan when he lost a debate when he was running for vice president to Joe Biden? And I don't care, I know Joe Biden has gone downhill a lot in 8 years, but how could you lose to Joe Biden on his best day ever, Chase? And Paul Ryan went into the fetal position like he was being kicked by a mob. He didn't have any comeback. He was pathetic, wasn't he?
It was scary, but I mean, then what are we surprised that then what we got is a leader of the House? And as I say, today's situation that we're in, I can put a hang around his neck. Yeah,
I know. He was a disaster, and he went on the board of News Corporation, Rupert Murdoch's company. So he has his finger in the wind to decide how Fox News is going to be programmed. Sad. I'm Howie Carr.
Hey, Howie, I see you got a haircut again.
Yes, I did, Grace. It looks good, doesn't it?
It definitely looks better than that haircut you got a few years ago before you met the president. Remember that bad buzz cut, Howie?
Geez, you love bringing that up, don't you?
Well, I just think that your bad haircut was a true testament to the wonderful work of Dr. Highness at DiStefano Hair Restoration. Because even though you looked crazy at the time, your hair grew back, and now you look as dapper as ever.
That's true. Dr. Highness did such a wonderful job on my hair. I love waking up every day not worrying about bald spots or a dreaded comb over. I now have a thick head of hair, and the best part of it is, it's my hair. Getting a DiStefano hair restoration was the best decision I ever made.
Well, besides hiring me, right, Howie?
Like I said, Grace, it was the best decision I ever made.
You heard him, guys. Go to hairman.com to get the hair you've always wanted. Get hair like Howie's. Go to DiStefano Hair Restoration. They have 5 locations in New England, and they are open for business. That's hairman.com.
The Moonbats always say Donald Trump isn't very bright. But what about Barack Hussein Obama? Let's listen to some of his greatest hits.
I've now been in 57 states. I think one left to go. I don't know what the term is in Austrian.
The Cambridge police acted stupidly.
And there has never been any man or woman more qualified for this office than Hillary Clinton.
There are neighborhoods around the country where it is easier for a 12 or 13-year-old to purchase a gun and cheaper than it is for them to get a book. I believe in the Second Amendment. It's there written on the paper.
If we fall for, a bunch of okey doke.
A few months ago, when you were asked what's the biggest geopolitical threat facing America, you said Russia, not Al Qaeda. You said Russia. In the 1980s are now calling to ask for their foreign policy back.
He might not be flashy, but he's there when it counts. Here's 1 minute of Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell.
For the first time in my memory, I agree with Nancy Pelosi. I am indeed the Grim Reaper when it comes to the socialist agenda that they've been ginning up over in the House.
You've watched the fight, you've watched the tactics, but here's what I want to tell you. In the very near future, Judge Kavanaugh will be on the United States Supreme Court.
Noted with great interest the Green New Deal, and we're going to be voting on that in the Senate. We'll give everybody an opportunity to go on record and see how they feel about the Green New Deal. Well, first on the impartiality issue, do you think Chuck Schumer's impartial? Do you think Elizabeth Warren is impartial?
No.
Bernie Sanders is impartial? So let's quit the charade. This is a political exercise. Nobody is supposed to be guilty until proven innocent in the United States of America. Look, we're at an impasse. We can't do anything until the Speaker sends the papers over, so everybody enjoy the holidays.
You're listening to the Howie Carr Show.
Now's the perfect time to get a pair of premium wireless earbuds, and Raycon is the way to go. Raycon start at about half the price of other premium brands on the market, and they sound just as amazing. And Raycon's everyday E25 earbuds are their best model yet. You get 6 hours of playtime, seamless Bluetooth pairing, more bass, and a more compact design that gives you a comfortable, noise-isolating fit. Perfect for conference calls, video chats, or binging podcasts. Raycon was founded by Ray J, and celebrities like Cardi B and J.R. Smith have already given Raycons their seal of approval. I love my Raycons, and Grace loves hers, too.
Howie, I love my Raycons. Best birthday gift ever.
I listen to much better music than she does, though.
Hey, that's not true.
Now it's your turn to see what the hype is all about. Go to buyraycon.com/Howie. That's buyraycon.com/Howie. buyraycon.com/Howie.
There are plenty of differences between Trump and the Democrats running for 2020, but the main one is Trump's pretty funny. Take a listen.
What advice would you give to the 25-year-old Donald Trump knowing what you know today?
Don't run for president. I'm not a drinker. I can honestly say I never had a beer in my life, okay? It's one of my only good traits. I don't drink. Whenever they're looking for something good, I say, I never had a glass of alcohol. I've never had alcohol. Can you imagine if I had? What a mess I'd be. I'd be the world's worst. Other countries, big countries, India and others, we had to pay because they considered them a growing country. They were a growing country. I said, what are we? Are we allowed to grow too? Okay. No, are we allowed to grow? I try like hell to hide that bald spot, folks. I work harder. Doesn't look bad. Hey, we're hanging in. I should have saved the Pocahontas thing for another year. Because I've destroyed her political career, and now I won't get a chance to run against her, and I would have loved it. I don't want to knock out all of the good stuff and end up with somebody that's actually got talent. That would be terrible.
Biden might be the frontrunner for the Democrats, but that isn't stopping him from serving up a whole lot of gaffes. Take a listen.
I believe that the president is literally an existential threat to America for three reasons. One, he is a genuine threat to our... I had permission to hug Lonnie. He says, let's make America great again. Let's make America America again. I think I'm either low IQ or slow, or I don't know what I am. Slow Joe Biden. Thanks for the Mary, and I'm going to be here a lot. I want the press to know she pulled me close. I just want you to know, okay? President Trump inherited an economy from Obama Biden. By the way, he gave me permission to touch him. They can't even figure out how to deal with the fact that they have this great division between the China Sea and the mountains in the West.
You're listening to the Howie Carr Show.
Here's 1 minute of President Eric Swalwell.
Chris, so far, the evidence is uncontradicted that the president used taxpayer dollars to ask the Ukrainians to help him cheat an election. But I will always be real with you. I will be bold without the bold. Welcome to my fellow candidates, whom I consider we are all a part of being the Avengers. The Republicans in 2016, that was the Hunger Games. And, it's said often that history doesn't repeat itself, it rhymes, and we heard a lot of rhymes yesterday. My wife, Brittany, also wants you to know we've got two beautiful children, Nelson and Cricket. But the decision to have children was her choice. I'm the only candidate calling for a ban and buyback on every single assault weapon. Again, we have to have an ankle monitor on this president. This is the worst possible time for a serial offender like him to be running around unsupervised.
Here's how it works with my retirement accounts, and I'll bet yours too. If your 401k, your SEP, your IRA, whatever, is going up, you probably don't think very much about it, right? But if it's going down, well, there's nothing much else you can think of. So for the last couple of years, none of us have been worrying much about those quarterly statements. But lately, it's gotten a little worrisome. It's not that bad, not yet anyway, but what goes up must come down. Now is the time to start thinking about adjusting your investments. Gold and silver have always been a hedge against stock market volatility. Uncertainty about the future has traditionally meant rising prices for precious metals. Orion Metal Exchange is the only precious metals company I trust. Give Orion a call to get a free, no-obligation investment guide about protecting your future with an enduring investment in gold and silver. You've got nothing to lose and everything to gain, including peace of mind, by calling Orion Metal Exchange now. Call them today at 800-912-2300. And with Orion, you'll get more metal for your money. Call 800-912-2300. That's 800-912-2300.
Remember the boy who cried wolf? I call this one the press that cried Hitler.
The president is not only racist, he's a bigot, but he is completely un-American. He is behaving like a fascist.
This is the president, once again, just thumping his chest and acting like he is the dictator that I think he wants to be.
The president of the United States is a wannabe dictator with authoritarian tendencies.
This is exactly what authoritarians do. This is what strongmen do. This is what happens in authoritarian regimes.
We have a president with a strong authoritarian personality.
Like a dictator from another nation.
People that grew up in authoritarian regimes, seeing echoes of that in President Trump. He likes these figures like Vladimir Putin and Kim Jong-un.
This is more the actions of a dictator.
He totally wants to be a dictator.
Better strap yourself in. It's time for the Howie Carr Show.
The State Department, under Obama and Biden, believed that Joe Biden was engaging in a conflict of interest.
I did not know he was on the board of that company. No one's established that he did anything wrong or that I've done anything wrong.
The State Department detected a $7 million bribe being paid by Burisma, the company hiring Hunter Biden in Ukraine.
Here's the answer. No one ever paid me $1.5 billion. If they had, I would not be doing this interview right now.
Live from the Matthews Brothers Studios.
There was a pressure campaign inside the Obama State Department and in the White House to make the Burisma corruption allegations go away before the 2016 election ended.
If the prosecutor's not fired, you're not getting the money. Oh, son of a bitch.
The Treasury Department flagged several transactions, foreign money flowing into companies connected to Hunter Biden as suspicious transactions.
I did my job. I never discussed a single thing with my son about anything having to do with Ukraine. I don't discuss business with my son. I never, ever, 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 ever had a conversation with my son about anything that I was doing. I've never spoken to my son about his overseas business dealings. There's nothing there. Ask the right questions.
Well, me thinks the lady does protest too much.
Who's your captain? Howie Carr.
You know where he is today? They have a thing called the lid. He put out a lid today early in the morning. Lid means he's not going to be anywhere today. I'm working my ass off. I'm in Ohio. I'm in Texas. I'm in Florida. I'm in Michigan. I'm in Wisconsin.
Unchained and unstoppable.
I wonder, in the debate, is he going to walk in with a mask? I mean, honestly, what the hell did he spend all that money on the plastic surgery if he's going to cover it up with a mask? Seriously.
Rump swabs, hacks, and moonbats beware. It's Howie Carr.
Okay, welcome back to the show. We gave you a special offer in the last hour on the Eden Pure Thunderstorms. It's a great product, and we were saying it's buy one, get one free today. But there's apparently some confusion about how to get the buy one, get one free offer, what the code is and how to put in the code. So Jared's going to explain it very quickly here to you, and we apologize for any confusion.
Sure. So when you go to the Eden Pure website, you click on the Thunderstorm icon. They have it with the Howie Carr logo in the corner. That brings you to another page, and then it underneath the amount, the quantity you can add, there are instructions on how to use the BOGO code, and you actually just have to click on the link below it, which is take you to a special page where you can enter the BOGO code at checkout, Howie BOGO.
And where is the link you have to hit? One more time.
When you click on the Thunderstorm, it brings you to a page, and then you have an option to add an amount to your cart. Right below that is the link to get the special Howie BOGO page.
Howie BOGO. Okay. All right. Again, sorry about the confusion, everybody. I hope it works out for you. And it's because it's a great product and it's a great deal. Today only, buy one, get one free. Howie BOGO. Thank you, Jared. Time now for the Chump Line.
Joe Biden, who whispers softly and carries a big stick.
No. It's Obama that carries the big stick. Come on. Let's get your screw-ups by Joe Biden correct.
Talks softly and carries a big teleprompter.
Yeah, TOTUS is back. We used to call the teleprompter of the U.S. when Obama had it. He would answer questions, too, from the teleprompter, ad-libbing, quote-unquote. TOTUS is back.
Was it converted rice or was it woke rice?
It used to be converted rice. Uncle Ben's converted rice. Now it's Uncle Ben's woke rice. You're correct. They should change that part of the label as well. The Chump Line is brought to you every weekday at this time by Matthews Brothers, America's oldest window manufacturer, inviting anyone who's bored to death of listening to nonstop fake news to warm up your vocal cords and join us this year in recording our first ever quarantine karaoke, Matthews Carols. Details on our website, MatthewsBrothers.com.
The other day, Plugs had his eyes peeled as he excitedly waved at an empty field. Just more proof from this goof that his fate will soon be sealed.
I hope so, Limerick guy. I hope so. I assume that there were big crowds at all the phone booths that he spoke at in Charlotte today.
In a press release earlier today, the Biden family stated, whoops.
They're not going to issue any statement, not even a one-word statement like that. They're going to say this is a debunked theory, and we're not even going to comment on this. Old news. Debunked news. The Republicans are pouncing, and they're seizing, and they're weaponizing on these false reports, unlike Russian collusion or Ukrainian phone calls.
Hey, Howie, Hunter Biden is a great family man. That's why he keeps going out and making new families.
Yeah, I wonder if he had any new families with those Ukrainian and East European hookers that the Senate report accuses him of consorting with and sending money to.
He's supporting the president. It's a miracle. Mittens Romney. Mittens Romney. Mittens Romney. Mittens Romney.
Mitt Romney's favorite cartoon character was Dudley Do-Right. He thinks he's Dudley Do-Right.
Here, with the Supreme Court, they keep talking about Roe versus Wade. I know about it from experience. I chose to Roe, and Mary Jo chose to Wade. Yeah.
You know, Ted Kennedy started out as a pro-life, traditional Northeastern Democrat liberal, but not for long.
Howie, how many people were in RGB's room when she died? Everybody knows her last wish. These people didn't care about the COVID.
Yeah, you know, that's a good point. I hadn't even thought about that. Yeah. How about all the people who've had family members die and they weren't able to not only not be at their bedside when they died, but they couldn't have a proper wake. They couldn't have a proper funeral. They couldn't hug at the grave site before the loved one was lowered into the ground. And yet Ruth Bader Ginsburg had her entire extended family there for apparently days.
Oh, I've been running from that drudge, trying to find a new judge. I got 7 women on my mind. 4 are pretty decent, 2 are fairly recent, 1 whose dogma is just fine.
The dogma lives loudly in you. That's what Dianne Feinstein, the senator from California, said to Amy Coney Barrett. And if you're looking for a good website, I recommend not Drudge Report. To replace the Drudge Report, I recommend Bongino Report. That's pretty good. And there's no reason to go to Matt Drudge anymore. And I don't just say that out of bitterness because he took the link off my column. He took the link off everybody's column who voted for Trump.
Hey, Howie. They used to have plexiglass at King Arthur's over in Chelsea, but it wasn't to protect anyone from COVID, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, it was one of those. The King Arthur's was one of those places where they had the big sign. The biggest sign in the bar was, "Please do not touch the dancers." That's prohibited. Actually, the cops in Louisville are wearing plexiglass face shields, and if they're shatterproof, it looks like it's going to come in pretty handy tonight. But you want a riot cop to protect himself with a plexiglass shield. You don't want your bartender having a plexiglass shield. It doesn't add to the ambience.
Okay, so according to Charlie Parker, on Monday, the Chicom virus is going to pack its little tiny, teeny suitcases and take a vacation.
Well, no, the virus never takes a vacation, even though the summer is now over. But the Chicom virus will not attack tables of 6 people to 10 people. Right now, the Chicom virus attacks you if you have over 6 people at a restaurant and if you're sitting at a bar, or if you try to sit at a bar. On Monday, you're safe, even if you have as many as 10 people eating at a single table in a restaurant, and you're safe at a bar as long as there's a plexiglass shield between you and the bartender.
Whoever's doing the crisis negotiations with the virus is doing a bang-up job.
I just wish we could get like a whole country-wide, because it's very confusing as they negotiate various truces in one state, one town, one city, one county. Let's just have a Paris peace talks. How about that? Like 1973.
Loving. Tucker Taylor actually told the doctor's office the truth when he said he had a respiratory disorder. After all, every time he opens his mouth, Frank Sinatra comes out. Perhaps a mask would help muffle those abhorrent songs.
Are you going to take that, Taylor?
I didn't come here to be made sport of.
I'd say Joe Biden took a stroll down memory lane but never came back.
No, he didn't. That's why they've put out the silver alert. 603 says, did Uncle Ben's do away with white rice? That name itself is awfully racist. It is, white rice.
That was your last Chump Line message. Thank you for calling Howie Carr, you chump.
All right, that's it for the Chump Line today. The Chump Line is the recorded voicemail message service of the Howie Carr Show. You can call and leave a message at any hour of the day or night, including weekends. The Chump Line number, if you'd like to leave such a message, 844-500-4242. Actually, it's only open from 1 to 5 every weekday nowadays. But press 2 for the Chump Line. Leave your message. We may or may not play it at this time each weekday. If you didn't hear your message or you want to hear still more Chump Line messages, go to Chopped Chumps. Those are the ones that didn't make the broadcast version that you just heard. We post it every night at 7 o'clock after the show. Get Chopped Chumps wherever you get your Howie Carr Show podcasts. The Chump Line is brought to you by Matthews Brothers, America's oldest window manufacturer, inviting anyone who's bored to death of listening to nonstop fake news to warm up your vocal cords and join us this year in recording our first ever quarantine karaoke Matthews carols. Details on our website, MatthewsBrothers.com.
He's supporting the president. It's a miracle. Mittens Romney, Mittens Romney, Mittens Romney, Mittens Romney.
Even a broken clock is right twice a day, as the old saying goes. We're still having problems here, Jared. People, explain it one more time how to get the buy one, get one free deal.
No problem. So when you go to Eden Pure, you'll click on the picture of the Thunderstorm unit with the Howie Carr logo. That'll bring you to a new page. And on that page, you'll have an option. There's an orange bar, which you can put a quantity of Thunderstorms in your cart. Below that is some orange writing that explains the BOGO deal. Below that are 2 blue links. And if you click on one of those 2 links, whichever one you want, click on the blue links, that'll take you to the checkout page. And then when you check out from there, enter code HowieBOGO.
Okay. The blue links.
The blue links.
The blue links. Okay. That I hope that explains it, everybody. And again, our apologies for the confusion. I'm Howie Carr.
Keep it here, chumps. More Howie Carr after this.
Talking about erectile dysfunction isn't easy. Good thing Roman makes treating erectile dysfunction simple, safe, and from the comfort of your own home. Get a free online evaluation today at GetRoman.com/Howie. If approved, you'll get $15 off your first order of erectile dysfunction treatment. Stop wearing those socks with holes in them and get yourself some durable socks that fit like a second skin. I wear Easy Glider socks and they are made to slide easily into your shoes. You can also wear them for up to 3 days without washing. If you're traveling, tired of the blisters, or just want a durable, diversified sock, Easy Glider socks are for you. Right now at EasyGliderSocks.com, you can save 50% on your order with code word Howie50. When you spend over $49, you get free shipping. Buy some today for yourself and your spouse at EasyGliderSocks.com.
Alexander Hamilton said, "Those who stand for nothing will fall for anything." This is Toby from Cape Gunworks. When our founding fathers drafted the Second Amendment, there was no question of its meaning. Today, if you have questions, come to Cape Gunworks for some advice, training, or to send a few rounds downrange. We have a fully stocked pro shop with a huge selection of guns, crossbows, archery, classes, rentals, a 15-lane range, and a friendly staff. Come on down to Cape Gunworks, Airport Road, Hyannis, or CapeGunworks.com.
Thank you, New England, for supporting Music Drives Us. Since 2006, we have used the power of music to benefit communities throughout the 6 states of New England. During this time, we've proudly supported more than 200 schools and donated upwards of 1,000 instruments. And this year, we're getting ready to donate all over again. Our work is made possible through your continued support of our musical mission. Whether you donated, volunteered at our events, attended our concerts, or engaged with us on social media, thank you. We hope you'll stay tuned with what we have in store for this year, because it'll be our best year yet. Visit us at musicdrivesus.org. That's musicdrivesus.org. Or follow us at Music Drives Us on social. Together, we can keep music in our schools.
Hair loss is not one of life's more enjoyable experiences. If you're looking to fill in your hairline or reverse years of hair loss, DiStefano Hair Restoration will create a result that will be a transformative experience. The result of my IGT procedure was quite remarkable. I now have fuller, thicker hair so I can even wear it a bit longer. There are a few major decisions I've made in my life that I wish I did sooner. My hair restoration is number one. It was by far one of the best moves I've ever made. My hair looks awesome, and the confidence from having a full head of hair again has left me feeling great. I used to look in the mirror and dreaded seeing my ever-increasing bald spot. Now when I look in the mirror, I see the new me with a full head of thick hair. For information on how to make the same choice I did, go to hairman.com/Howie. What are you waiting for? More hair to fall out? Get the hair you've always wanted. Hairman.com/Howie.
Here's 1 minute with Governor
Charlie Parker in Massachusetts.
I'd certainly put myself on that list. I'm a basketball player. I always was.
There's a lot at stake here. This is not a virus to be trifled with or disrespected. Respect the virus.
I have a hard time understanding when we're going to be able to play basketball again.
We can start talking about a gradual, careful, data-driven, phased reopening. Don't let a few nice days step on that.
I need to talk to the Attorney General and find out what the actual parameters of the ruling are. Did this just happen? And the reason I read that story is because I'm a basketball player and I agree. I was first made aware of the discrepancy on this on the day that the registrar resigned.
The vast majority, and I mean like the vast majority of the people who were part of these protests are there to make a point and to make it peacefully. That is so obvious, I'm amazed that anybody could say anything other than that. I would love to be able to open everything up tomorrow. That would be an incredibly irresponsible thing to do.
This is Paul in North Andover, Mass.
This is Luana in Lexington, Massachusetts.
This is Lauren in Augusta, Maine, and this is the Howie Carr Show.
Raycon's newest wireless earbuds, the Everyday E25s, are their best ones yet, with 6 hours of playtime, seamless Bluetooth pairing, and a noise-isolating fit that really allows you to focus on what you're listening to. Get 15% off Raycon wireless earbuds at buyraycon.com/Howie. That's buyraycon.com/Howie. You won't be disappointed. Taylor, what's the poll question? What are the results thus far?
I'll have our commander-in-chief ask it.
He feels good about the mask. I wonder, in the debate, it'll be him and I or the stage. Is he going to walk in with a mask?
I'd say yes.
81% say they think Joe Biden will show up with a mask.
All right. I wouldn't put it past him to just keep it on for a while. You know, just kind of mumbling. When in doubt, mumble. That used to be an old saying back in the 70s. 844-500-4242. Remember the town hall last week with the undecided voters, the uncommitted voters, all of whom wanted to slam Donald Trump? Well, we now know that they weren't that undecided. I know you're going to be shocked. While the network claimed its Tuesday town hall, that was 8 days ago, provided uncommitted voters the opportunity to ask the president questions about issues affecting Americans, unquote, a Washington Free Beacon review of social media posts found that two of the questioners have long denounced Trump.
This is CNN.
Well, it was actually ABC, but it's the same thing. CNN had Joe Biden at their town hall. Cutts University professor Alicia Block, whom ABC repeatedly identified as uncommitted in its coverage of town hall, praised vice presidential candidate Kamala Harris during the Democrat primary, saying she would be there volunteering for the California senator in Pennsylvania. So she was undecided, but they found social media where she's calling Trump a bleeping moron, pathetic, pig, swine, punk ass, and loser. She misspelled that. Being a professor, she misspelled it as Looser, as looser. She is a self-described liberal Democrat. Oh, okay. Another uncommitted voter, Philadelphia pastor. Oh, he's a man of God. Carl Day tweeted that he's never once supported Trump and won't now in August, just weeks before he was listed as uncommitted at the ABC town hall. He went on to say that Trump's Make America Great Again slogan refers to a time in which the N-words did what they were told in all industries, wouldn't have the audacity to try to enter a white establishment, and didn't talk back to the cops. Day also, an undecided voter, referred to Trump as a villain, called him ridiculously arrogant and obnoxious, and said he ain't no Christian. I thought pastors weren't supposed to make distinctions like that. Aren't they supposed to leave that to God and the sinner himself? I guess not. Phil, you're next with Howie Carr. Go ahead, Phil.
Hey, listen, our stupid governor in Maine, she changes us from green to yellow.
Yeah.
She blames this for having all this issues with COVID, yet she's just opened our state to Massachusetts. Your own governor says you got a hotspot problem. What the hell's the matter? Do we have a COVID problem or don't we?
Phil, you're asking a version of my perennial recurring question. Does any of this make any sense? Phil, does any of it make any sense?
I'm calling. It doesn't. And then I got some relatives here from Connecticut, and they're standing here telling me, yeah, we checked with your state. We're all free and clear. Wait a minute. I just don't get it, Howie. I don't get it.
Here, Phil, let me explain it to you about Massachusetts. If you go to a bar and watch the Patriots game on Sunday afternoon, you will die. If you go back to that same bar on Monday night and try to watch the Chiefs versus the Ravens, everything's going to be fine. No problemo. I'm Howie Carr.
You know what? We got us a couple of real Karens here at Matthews Brothers and a Kendra. We also have 8 Bills, 7 Johns, 4 Jims, Richards, and Mikes. What about Bob, you ask? Well, we got 3 of them, and 3 Amandas, Garys, Jordans, Kevins, Steves, and Waynes. We've got 2 each of Andys, Angelas, Anthonys, Ashleys, Bryans, Caseys, Charlies, Christophers, Dans, Davids, Debbies, Erics, Jeffs, Jessicas, Josephs, Joshuas, Logans, Masons, Nathans, Patricks, Pauls, Randys, Ricks, Ryans, Scotts, Tims, Toms, Travises, and Matthews, neither of them with 1 T, and 102 other uniquely named individuals. These are the 10 score and 19 people that every day put on their boots, sneakers, or other closed-toed footwear, come in and do their job, whether they work the first shift or second, in scheduling or logistics, the cut line, the screen line, the paint line, or the glass line, customer service, wrapping, added value, or one of the many production lines. They're all part of our legendary Maine-made awesomeness. You can learn more about our wicked awesome Maine-made windows and doors, but only at Better Lumberyards and Window Professionals, or on the web at MatthewsBrothers.com. That's Matthews Brothers with 1 T, America's oldest window manufacturer.
There are plenty of differences between Trump and the Democrats running for 2020, but the main one is Trump's pretty funny. Take a listen.
What advice would you give to the 25-year-old Donald Trump knowing what you know today?
Don't run for president. I'm not a drinker. I can honestly say I never had a beer in my life, okay? It's one of my only good traits. I don't drink. Whenever they're looking for something good, I say, I never had a glass of alcohol. I've never had alcohol. Can you imagine if I had? What a mess I'd be. I'd be the world's worst. Other countries, big countries, India and others, we had to pay because they considered them a growing country. They were a growing country. I said, what are we? Are we allowed to grow too? Okay. No, are we allowed to grow? I try like hell to hide that bald spot, folks. I work harder. Doesn't look bad. Hey, we're hanging in. I should have saved the Pocahontas thing for another year. Because I've destroyed her political career, and now I won't get a chance to run against her, and I would have loved it. I don't want to knock out all of the good stuff and end up with somebody that's actually got talent. That would be terrible.
We all shop online, and now you can do it a better way with Honey. Honey is the free online shopping tool that automatically finds the best promo codes and applies them to your cart. Just download Honey to your computer and shop on all your favorite websites like normal. When you check out, just click the Apply Coupons button that pops up. Wait a few seconds for Honey to scan its database of all the working coupons on the web. Then watch your price drop. Honey works on nearly every online store, including Walmart, Target, Home Depot, Macy's, Etsy, and more. And Honey has found over $2 billion in savings for its users. That's why it has over 100,000 five-star reviews on the Google Chrome store. It's 100% free to use and installs in seconds. Plus, it's backed by PayPal, so you know it's secure and reliable. Not using Honey is literally passing up free money. So get Honey for free today at joinhoney.com/Howie. That's joinhoney.com/Howie.
Normally, we give Fredo Cuomo a lot of attention, but lately it's Governor Andrew Cuomo who's been grabbing headlines. Let's take a listen to some of his best moments.
You're an essential worker, so go take a job as an essential worker.
But the people aren't hiring because of the
No, there are people hiring. You can get a job as an essential worker. So now you can go to work and you can be an essential worker and you're not going to kill anyone. The number is down because we brought the number down. God did not do that. Fate did not do that. Destiny did not do that. We're not going to make America great again. It was never that great. Because I can all see you are in masterful shape, buff even. It has a very nice floral bouquet. A little I detected lilac, hydrangea, tulips. What does it smell like to you? Tulips, yes. Floral bouquet.
Because if that's who they are, and if they are the extreme conservatives, they have no place in the state of New York.
Cory Booker said it best.
There are definitely moments where you listen to Joe Biden and you just wonder.
Here's stumbling and mumbling Joe Biden.
David Duke, the former leader of the KKK.
The Ku Klux Klan is the Ku Klux Klan.
8 more years of Donald Trump will change America in a fundamental way. But if Donald Trump is reelected, Freudian slip, and the demagogues around the world.
We also have a mechanism to control drug prices. Folks at the folks at Health and the Health Department in the United States, HHS.
It would put 720 million women back in the workforce.
I never ever thought that I'd see what I saw in Charlotte.
Would you or would you not rejoin the TPP, yes or no?
I would not rejoin the TTP. Well, they're going out and getting G5 and going to dominate. I mean, what are we doing? The bills that the future president here, that the senator's talking about.
Live from the Matthews Brothers Studios.
844-500-4242. I was thinking about that caller from Maine, Phil, who's confused about the COVID restrictions and all these truces and armistices that are ceasefires that are being negotiated apparently by governors and mayors and you know, where do you go to reach out to the COVID cootie virus? That when you want to have when you want to extend the closing hours for another hour, or you want to allow 10 people to eat at a table rather than 6 people, do they have a toll-free phone number? Do they have a web address? Can you text them anything? I don't know. How do they handle these negotiations? And I was also thinking about the fact that here's Charlie Parker. He's going to allow 10 people to sit at a table because the science says as of Monday, it's not dangerous to sit 10 people at a table. Until Monday, it'll kill you if you have 10 people at a table. Okay? I get it. All right? Why couldn't we have negotiated the truce to begin on Friday so they could have the weekend? And same with the bars. Why couldn't he have allowed the sports bars to reopen on Sunday for the Patriots game? When you assume, there'll be some interest. It's the first time they played the Raiders since they moved again. But no. But it's like Janet Mills, the same thing. Remember when she was going to, I think it was the end of June, she was going to open it. She was going to allow York and Cumberland counties to open up. And so everybody said, oh, great, thank goodness. We'll get the 4th of July. We'll get most of the summer in. They start bringing back their crews. They're cleaning it up. They're getting ready. They're ordering all the new food. And then she says, I've decided to change my mind. Nobody's going to open up again. So they've spent all the money on the food. Their help has quit their backup jobs and to come to work, and she tells them not to come in. This is why I try to vote for businessmen if I have an opportunity, or at least somebody who's had a job, some kind of job. Has Janet Mills ever had a job? I know Charlie Parker's never had a real job. He ran some health company, but that was mainly just an offshoot of a quasi-public authority. He's never worked a day in his life. Janet Mills hasn't. These are the people that get you into trouble. 844-500-4242. This Senate report on Hunter Biden. Again, this headline from the Federalist tells it all. Senate report accuses Hunter Biden of paying for hookers who may have been trafficked. But that's just part of it. There's so much here. He was taking money from the wife of the corrupt mayor of Moscow. She sent him more than $4 million. $4 million. He got from a Kazakh politician, the son-in-law of a prominent Kazakh politician, wired one of his companies where John Kerry's stepson was a principal in. They wired Archer, that was the name of the company, $142,000 through yet another shell company, Rosemont Seneca Bohai. All the companies were named Rosemont and then some fill-in-the-blank name. A currency report obtained by the Senate committee states that the payment was for a car. That's a nice car. $142,000. In order to sell their consulting services in China, Biden and Archer partnered with a Boston-based firm known as Thornton, LLC. The firm advertises itself as a cross-border capital intermediary and counts a number of state-owned Chinese businesses among its clients, according to its website. If you look up Thornton, LLC, you'll see one of the principals is their offices are on 14 Beacon Street in Boston. And one of the principals is a fellow named James Bulger. Does that name ring a bell? He would be a nephew, et cetera, et cetera. 844-500-4242. They didn't mention the barnyard owl that appeared in front of Hunter's car. Although he's not sure it was a barnyard owl because he was too busy trying to light his crack pipe when he was driving through the Nevada desert at the time. You know, even if he was working for Burisma, a company that's owned by what one witness testified is an odious oligarch. I like that alliteration. Odious oligarch. But how odious could he be if he was willing to pay Hunter Biden $1 million a year to sit on the board? You know, sometimes when you're on a board of directors in America, you have to go to a meeting every once in a while. You know, granted, it's a meeting in Florida in the wintertime, and you're happy to go there. Hunter Biden has never been to Ukraine to attend a board meeting of Burisma. Hunter Biden can't speak Ukrainian or whatever the language is they speak in Ukraine. I never said I was a foreign policy expert. Hunter Biden had no experience in the fossil fuel, oil, gas, etc. industries. So he brought a lot of consulting expertise. You know, if you need to find out which men's room you can go to in L.A., to meet some guy who's going to give you some white powder, Hunter Biden's the guy to go to. You want to go to any rehab center across the continent? He's been to all of them. All of them. From Dropkick Murphys to Betty Ford Institute and Silver Hill, McLean's. He's been everywhere. Bob, you're next with Howie Carr. Go ahead, Bob.
Hey, Howie, thank you very much. And I always want to thank you for 25 years of commuting into Boston and enjoying your ride out. It made my day.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
No, it was very important to me. So two thoughts. One is I think that the whole issue on Biden is coming down to his mental capacity. So how do you prove that in a debate, or how do you prove that at any point?
How do you prove it? You let him talk. Take it away, Joe. Take it away, Joe. Listen, you know, he loves his children, right? He really loves his children. Let's have a flashback. This is Joe Biden with Axios talking about, having the heart-to-heart talks with Hunter. Cut 29.
Hunter Biden, your son, was getting paid a lot of money to serve on the board of a Ukrainian energy company facing serious corruption charges. You were the vice president running point on Ukraine. The average Joe hears that and says, that sounds fishy. What's your understanding of what your son was doing for an extraordinary amount of money?
I don't know what he was doing. I know he was on the board. I found out he was on the board after he was on the board, and that was it. and there's nobody.
Well, you've had a lot of time. Isn't this something you want to get to the bottom of?
No, because I trust my son.
But that doesn't pass the smell test. Like when you're vice president, isn't there a higher standard? Don't you need to know what's happening with your family? Don't you need to put down some guardrails?
Unless there was something that was, there was something on its face that was wrong. There's nothing on its face that was wrong.
On its face? $83,000 a month? How about the payments to the hookers that the Senate subcommittee found? On its face. He trusted his son. What did Ronald Reagan used to say? Trust but verify. What did Mr. Dooley say? Trust everyone, but cut the cards. Trust everyone, but make sure the crack pipe is out of the rental car before you turn it in. Okay, here's one. This is Biden in Iowa when somebody brings up Hunter Biden. This is one of his more famous moments from the Iowa caucuses. Cut 28.
No one has said my son has done anything wrong, and I did not on any occasion. And no one has ever said it. Not
I didn't
once.
say you were doing anything wrong.
You said I set up my son to work in an oil company. Isn't that what you said? Get your words straight, Jack.
That's what I hear on MSNBC.
You don't hear that on MSNBC. You did not hear that at all. What you heard. Look, okay, I'm not going to get in an argument with you, man.
Well, I don't want to.
Well, yeah, you do, but look, Fat, look, here's the deal.
Look, Fat, here's the deal.
He looks like you don't have any more backbone than Trump.
Let him talk. Any other questions?
Any other questions, Fat? Want to do some push-ups, man? He knows nothing. He's like Sergeant Schultz. He hears nothing. He sees nothing. He knows nothing. Cut 26.
Well, the fact is, I was unaware of his investments until it occurred, and I've never discussed what my son's business with him because I didn't want any conflict, including my deceased son, Bo, was the Attorney General and was suing banks apparently, during the recession, and when we weren't, et cetera. So we just kept everything. We've kept everything separate. And my son's comments speak for himself. He said that if he had known, if he had thought through what Giuliani and those thugs were about to do, he regrets having done it.
His son, his family's running a protection racket, and he's calling Giuliani a thug. And I like the way, we kept everything separate. I put a guy in at the Union Hall. I don't talk to him. He don't talk to me. That way, got no problems if we have to go up before the grand jury. Does anyone think about how that sounds? We kept everything separate? It's great to be a Democrat, isn't it? Randy, you're next with Howie Carr. Go ahead, Randy.
Hello, Howie.
Hi.
Yeah, I think if they want to subpoena Eric Trump, they should subpoena Biden Hunter too. What do you think?
I do. I think so, but they got to find him. You know, it's like every campaign stop that Trump makes, he goes, "Where's Hunter? Where's Hunter?" And how much money does this guy have? He doesn't work for a living. He spends half of his life in rehab and the other half giving depositions to his baby mamas. And yet the first claim that the baby mama makes, I want this amount of money. There's no negotiations. He just says, "Where do I bring the check?" He's got that much money, and he's never had a job.
Hunter, where the hell are you, Hunter? But I'll tell you, I sort of hope it's Joe, because he will hear "Where's Hunter" every single debate 9 times a debate.
And he loves Hunter. He loves all of his kids, but he apparently never has spoken to at least Hunter. He never spoke to Hunter. Cut 23.
I never, ever, 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 ever had a conversation with my son about anything that I was doing.
I don't believe that. Don't believe that. Do you? David, you're next with Howie Carr. Go ahead, David.
Never, ever, ever, for never, ever.
Never, ever, never, never, ever, ever, never.
Never, ever, 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 ever.
Never, ever, never, ever, ever, never, ever, never, never, ever, ever, never, stop.
Pinky promise. I never spoke to my son. Never once. Not even when he knocked up the stripper. David, you're next with Howie Carr. Go ahead, David.
Hey, Howie.
Hi.
The other people who know nothing are the people who mindlessly wear these masks all the time.
Tell me about it.
What do you think?
I couldn't agree with you more, David. Go ahead.
I was at work and I put up a sign that said "No mask, no problem," and I was told to take it down because it's against company policy and it's political.
Really? You know, we have these T-shirts that say "No mask, no problems." I thought they were a great T-shirt, and they sold okay, but they didn't sell as well as I thought they would, and it's just because of what you just explained, David. You know, people don't. If you wear a mask, there's no problem because you're going along with the man. But if you say, you know, I looked at those charts and I don't really think there's a real problem for me. Maybe there's a problem if I was 85 years old and I weighed 500 pounds. But that's not me, you know? And nobody under the age of 20 has died in the Commonwealth of Massachusetts. Why are these schools not open? I'm with you, David. I wish we could do something. And I just don't see, in Massachusetts, I don't see the mask going away. Charlie Parker loves this. He loves hearing himself talk about how great he is. It's driving me crazy. Eden Pure Pain Cream sold out in 2 minutes with our cheap bastard deal, but today you can get it with Howie's big discount. Everyone knows that the prescription pain relief drugs can be addictive and could have bad side effects. Eden Pure Pain Cream is all natural and has the strength of a pain cream. For me, it started working in just 2 minutes. I've been using it on my bad leg for weeks, and I really noticed the difference. Eden Pure Pain Cream gives you prescription power pain relief with no prescriptions, no addictions, and no bad side effects. And you also get a lot more stuff than you get in the prescription pain creams, if you can see me holding it up here on social media. It's a big tube. It'll last you for months. Eden Pure Pain Cream relieves pain from arthritis, joints, back pain, and in my case, leg pain from an old football injury. Yes, that's right, football. Eden Pure Pain Cream is so powerful that it has 99.2% customer satisfaction rating. Prescription pain cream can cost between $300 to $2,000 per tube, and there's not much in those tubes. Don't buy the pricey prescription creams or the cheap over-the-counter creams that don't usually work. Get Eden Pure Pain Cream today for only $39. It's usually $59, so you save $20. Also, shipping is free. Go to EdenPure.com and type in code word Howie at checkout. EdenPure.com, type in code word Howie at checkout. Stop the pain today. I'm Howie Carr.
He's the guru of graft. It's Howie Carr.
This hour of the Howie Carr Show is brought to you in part by Aviva Trattoria. From their famous chicken parm to their gluten-free menu, Aviva Trattoria has it all, with locations in Marlborough, Westford, Rentham, and Maynard. Stop in today or find them at avivatrattoria.com. And now, some of my favorite fake Indian cuts of all time.
I'm not going to ask you for your favorite curse word. Actually, I am. Do you have a favorite curse word?
Poop.
Poop? Oh, that's a goody two-shoes favorite curse word if I ever heard one.
Are you kidding? Have you ever seen a woman like me look you straight in the face after you finished some long explanation of something and then just said, poop? Hold on a sec. I'm going to get me a beer.
I am not sure what she's talking about as far as a rally with.
It was a rally in Bern, Oregon, is that you have to figure out who you are. I grew up in a family that was barely hanging on to the ragged edge of the middle class. And my Aunt Bee has walked by that picture at least 1,000 times, remarked that her father, my papa, had high cheekbones like all of the Indians do.
Here's how it works with my retirement accounts, and I'll bet yours too. If your 401k, your SEP, your IRA, whatever, is going up, you probably don't think very much about it, right? But if it's going down, well, there's nothing much else you can think of. So for the last couple of years, none of us have been worrying much about those quarterly statements. But lately, it's gotten a little worrisome. It's not that bad, not yet anyway, but what goes up must come down. Now is the time to start thinking about adjusting your investments. Gold and silver have always been a hedge against stock market volatility. Uncertainty about the future has traditionally met rising prices for precious metals. Orion Metal Exchange is the only precious metals company I trust. Give Orion a call to get a free, no-obligation investment guide about protecting your future with an enduring investment in gold and silver. You've got nothing to lose and everything to gain, including peace of mind, by calling Orion Metal Exchange now. Call them today at 800-912-2300. And with Orion, you'll get more metal for your money. Call 800-912-2300. That's 800-912-2300.
The coronavirus has made our lives unpredictable, but one thing you can always count on, the White House press corps will always ask President Trump ridiculous questions.
Question, Mr. President, should Americans have to decide between staying healthy and going back to work?
Hey, just checking on oil again today. I was wondering
Oil?
Yeah.
Where is it today?
Well, I was wondering if you...
No, where's the price? Give me the price.
I'm not sure, to be honest.
How can you ask a question when you don't know the price?
I'll look it up for you.
Okay, let me do somebody else.
What do you say to the Americans who are scared, though? I guess nearly 200 dead, 14,000 who are sick, millions, as you witnessed, who are scared right now. What do you say to Americans who are watching you right now who are scared?
Well, where did he come from, the Inspector General? What's his name?
It came from the Inspector General
what's his name?
report. I don't know his name.
Some of your allies have been bashing these doctors. Would you tell them to cut it out?
Today you tweeted the invisible enemy will soon be in full retreat. Given it's invisible without widespread testing, how would you know?
This is Lynn in sunny Las Vegas.
This is Dan from the moonbat capital of Jamaica Plain.
This is Gigi in Leominster, Massachusetts, and this is the Howie Carr Show.
Farmer John says, if one of my kids ever lands a $1.5 billion deal, we'd better discuss it. You know what I want to say if one of my kids ever lands a $1.5 billion deal? I'm so proud of you. And remember all I did for you.
Have I ever told you you're my favorite?
I'm not asking for much. 1% would be, I think, $15 million. That'll do for me. After all I've done for you. Girl, 844-500-4242. Maria, you're next with Howie Carr. Go ahead, Maria.
Hi, Howie. I was just watching, I think it was, they were up at Congress this morning, the FDA and the CDC.
Oh, yes. Yeah, it was a Senate hearing. Yeah. The usual suspects were there. Yeah.
So now, on a planet with over 7 billion people, we don't even have 1 million dead from this virus. Not even 1 million. But I want to know.
200,000. And we're not even sure about those. Alex Berenson, the guy who used to work for the New York Times, he got a bunch of the death certificates from Milwaukee County in Wisconsin. And you should see it. Maria, I don't even think we have 200,000. And they're all putting them down as COVID deaths. And they're saying the guy, again, obesity, dementia, heart disease, diabetes. And they just throw it in COVID like, it's the cherry on top of a sundae. Go ahead.
No, there's a big difference. There's a big difference between dying from it and dying with it.
Right.
But I want to know where the list is of dead businesses, because I haven't heard of one person that I know that has caught this or died from it. But I see business after business after business that have died. Mine is on life support.
Yeah.
Where's that list?
That's a very good point, Maria. 21% of all the restaurants in Massachusetts are gone forever, and a lot of them are just hanging on by their threads. And I've said it before. Go down Needham Street near where we are, and it's just nothing but a sea of for sale signs and for lease signs. It's horrible. It's going to take years, decades to come back. I'm Howie Carr. I recently had a dental emergency, and where did I go? Perfect Smiles. I've said this before, but this reminded me again of what a perfectionist Dr. Houghton is. He is a veneer engineer, a world-class dental artist. Being on TV, it's important that I look my best. Dr. Houghton did that for me, and he can do it for you too. Right now, when a lot of people don't want to go into the city, Perfect Smiles is conveniently located in Nashua, New Hampshire, and parking is free. I was impressed to see all the state-of-the-art safety protocols that Perfect Smiles has taken since the virus. You'll feel safe and confident when you visit Perfect Smiles. Call 1-844-A-PERFECT-SMILE, 1-844-A-PERFECT-SMILE, or go to HowieCarrShow.com and click on the Perfect Smiles banner. You can also see my video at PerfectSmiles.com. Perfect Smiles. Change your smile. Change your life. And now, a minute of wisdom from Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez.
Millennials and people and, Gen Z and all these folks that come after us are looking up, and we're like, the world is going to end in 12 years if we don't address climate change. And your biggest issue is how are we going to pay for it? And this is the war. This is our World War II.
I think that there's a lot of people more concerned about being precisely, factually, and semantically correct than about being morally right.
But being factually correct is important.
It's absolutely important.
And if we work our butts off to make sure that we take back all three chambers of Congress, all three chambers of government, the presidency, the Senate, and the House in 2020, we can't start working in 2020.
Jim Acosta, without a doubt, wins the competition for Trump's least favorite journalist of all time. Let's listen to some of their feistier moments.
I'll tell you what, CNN should be ashamed of itself having you working for them. You are a rude, terrible person. You shouldn't be working for CNN. Should I let him have a little bit more? What do you think, Peter? Peter, should I let him have a little bit more? Sit down. I'm changing it from fake news, though.
Doesn't that undermine...
Very fake news.
I know, but aren't you...
When I raise money... Excuse me. I've watched you on television. You're a real beauty. Honestly, I think you should let me run the country. You run CNN. All right. And if you did it well, your ratings would be much better.
If I may ask one other question. Mr. President, if I may ask one other question, are you worried...
That's enough. That's enough.
Mr. President, what do you say to your critics who say that you're concocting a national emergency here in order to get your wall because you couldn't get it through other ways?
What do you think? Do you think I'm creating something? Ask these incredible women who lost their daughters and their sons, because your question is a very political question, because you have an agenda. You're CNN. You're fake news.
You're listening to the Howie Carr Show.
With all the uncertainty in the world, feeling safe at home has never been more important. It's why I want to talk to you about Simply Safe Home Security. They're longtime friends of the Howie Carr Show, and for good reason. Simply Safe has made it easy to finally get comprehensive protection for your home. There's no technician or salesperson that needs to come and disrupt your house. You don't need to pay any outrageous monthly fees or sign a 2-year contract. You just order online, set it up yourself in under an hour, and your home is protected 24/7 with emergency dispatch for break-ins, fire, and more. All for just $50. U.S. News and World Report named Simply Safe Best Overall Home Security of 2020. Go to simplysafehowie.com to try it out for yourself. That's simplysafehowie.com to make sure they know that our show sent you. That's simplysafehowie.com.
Joe Biden might be running for president in 2020, so we should play some of his greatest hits.
Barack and I finally reduced the disparity in sentencing, which we've been fighting to eliminate, in crack cocaine versus powder cocaine. Correct. It was a big mistake when it was made. We thought we were told by the experts that crack, you never go back.
You cannot go to a 7-Eleven or a Dunkin' Donuts unless you have a slight Indian accent.
If you want to protect yourself, get a double-barrel shotgun. If there's ever a problem, just walk out on the balcony, put that double-barrel shotgun, and fire 2 blasts.
They're going to put you all back in chains.
me a break. That's a bunch of malarkey.
The three-letter word, jobs. J-O-B-S, jobs.
One man stands ready to deliver change we desperately need. A man I'm proud to call my friend. A man who will be the next president of the United States, Barack America.
He is the youngest senator that is going to be running. In his video, he also mentioned he's the only senator that lives in the inner city, and he's an unmarried vegan. So a lot of very unique qualities Cory Booker brings to the table, Kate.
Now, I appreciate the comments of my colleagues. This is about the closest I'll probably ever have in my life to an I am Spartacus moment. I am Spartacus. I am Spartacus.
Joey, do you like movies about gladiators?
Have you ever had an LGBTQ law clerk?
I've not been a judge, so I don't have any law clerks.
Someone working for you.
I'm to be honest, I don't know the sexual orientation of my staff.
When Dick Durbin called me, I had tears of rage when I heard about this experience in that meeting. And for you not to feel that hurt, tears of rage.
Would you just stop being so dramatic?
I'm a big believer that if this country hasn't broken your heart, then you don't love her enough.
You're listening to the Howie Carr Show.
They're outlandish, they're outrageous, and they're hypocrites. They're the women of The View.
Bernie was so menschy in that moment, like a real guy. I actually am aroused by him.
Timothy McVeigh was a Christian. Just saying.
Hitler was a Christian.
Well, he didn't like the Catholics.
Trump needs to be medicated and hospitalized at this point, or he is going to just kill all of us.
I mean, do we have to wait till the hammer and sickle is on the American flag before we stand up to this guy?
Joy, you've worn blackface.
I did not go in blackface, please.
No, she was not in blackface.
Thank you.
It was a Halloween party. I went as a beautiful African woman.
Did you have tanning lotion on, Joy?
A little. I had makeup that was a little bit darker than my skin.
I'm hoping Dr. Jill becomes a Surgeon General. She's a hell of a doctor.
Whoopi, you said that Roman Polanski, it wasn't rape.
I know it wasn't rape.
Child molest, maybe? I'm not sure.
It was something. It was something else, but I don't believe it was rape.
You've been hearing me talk about Super Beets for a while now, and I'm sure some of you are still thinking, why Super Beets? You could take it from me. The benefits of Super Beets are incredible. I take them twice a day, once in the morning when I get up, even before I have my first cup of coffee, and the other time in the afternoon, right before the show. It gives me a burst of energy. It's great for my blood pressure. It's good for circulation. It just makes you feel better. If that doesn't convince you, we can talk about the science behind Super Beets. Beets have nitrates. Nitrates support better blood flow, and better blood flow equals better energy and efficiency throughout the body, and even supports healthy blood pressure. But Super Beets does so much more than eating regular beets and is unparalleled compared to other beet powders. Just one scoop of Super Beets has the nitric oxide equivalent of 3 whole beets. Go to superbeetsradio.com/Howie and try out Super Beets yourself. www.superbeetsradio.com/Howie. www.superbeetsradio.com/Howie.
And now, an interview with the Emperor of Hate, Howie Carr.
Did you have any pets when you were younger?
I had a cat named Dexter. That was my first pet. And then I had possession of 2 poodles when I lived in Palm Beach, Princess and Frisky. They weren't really my dogs, but I took care of them. They lived with me. So they were my dogs. I love those poodles. When you were a kid, what was the best gift you ever received? I got this wooden fort from FAO Schwartz. 6 or 7, 10 soldiers to go along with it. Such a cool fort. I had that fort for like maybe...
Better strap yourself in. It's time for the Howie Carr Show.
The State Department, under Obama and Biden, believed that Joe Biden was engaging in a conflict of interest.
I did not know he was on the board of that company. No one's established that he did anything wrong or that I've done anything wrong.
The State Department detected a $7 million bribe being paid by Burisma, the company hiring Hunter Biden in Ukraine.
Here's the answer. No one ever paid me $1.5 billion. If they had, I would not be doing this interview right now.
Live from the Matthews Brothers Studios.
There was a pressure campaign inside the Obama State Department and in the White House to make the Burisma corruption allegations go away before the 2016 election ended.
If the prosecutor's not fired, you're not getting the money.
Oh, son of a bitch. The Treasury Department flagged several transactions, foreign money flowing into companies connected to Hunter Biden as suspicious transactions.
I did my job. I never discussed a single thing with my son about anything having to do with Ukraine. I don't discuss business with my son. I never, ever had a conversation with my son about anything that I was doing. I've never spoken to my son about his overseas business dealings. There's nothing there. Ask the right questions.
Well, methinks the lady does protest too much.
Who's your captain? Howie Carr.
You know where he is today? They have a thing called the lid. He put out a lid today early in the morning. Lid means he's not going to be anywhere today. I'm working my ass off. I'm in Ohio. I'm in Texas. I'm in Florida. I'm in Michigan. I'm in Wisconsin.
Unchained and unstoppable.
I wonder, in the debate, is he going to walk in with a mask? I mean, honestly, what the hell did he spend all that money on the plastic surgery if he's going to cover it up with a mask? Seriously.
Rump swabs, hacks, and moonbats beware. It's Howie Carr.
I'll read you some of those death certificates from Wisconsin that Alex Berenson tweeted out the last couple of days. It's just amazing. I mean, the fraud that's going on here with all these deaths being blamed on the virus. And I'm just looking at some texts here. 401 says, I'll miss some restaurants, but Ann and Hope closing hurts worse. We were just talking with one of the VIPs. A lot of the restaurants were teetering on the edge. The owners were old, or they were, barely breaking even. But they were still employing people, and a lot of people still like them. I'm sorry they're gone. I mean, maybe this is just, they always say capitalism is creative destruction, but this really, this made it so much worse, and it's going to be hard to replace all these restaurants.
I think a lot of restaurants too. It's about the flow of cash. You're never really. It's not an industry that's built on being able to sustain so much.
So many hits.
It's supposed to be, all right, we had a bad night, or all right, we had a bad week, but you know what? We'll make it up next week.
Or we have a patio, and there were 2 rainy nights in the middle of the summer, and that was too bad, but we'll get it back.
But it's just not meant for seasons to be shut down. I mean, especially down the Cape and stuff, a lot of those places depend on the summer to get through the winter. Right.
And I listen to Ed in the morning on XTK sometimes, and he says, why won't the governor come down here? It's a rhetorical question. He knows why the governor won't come down. Because people are so angry.
Not going to be a lot of friendly faces driving down the Cape for Charlie Baker.
No. 781 says about Biden, the more Democrats degenerate, the more they shift from plausible deniability to extraordinarily implausible deniability. That's a good way to put it. They don't care anymore that people know they're lying. They also don't care that people know they're crooked. I mean, what other conclusion can you draw from this report from the Senate today?
Well, I liked, I think it was Stephen Miller, not the one at the White House, the guy on Twitter who writes for a lot of different
and not the gangster of love.
Yeah, it's a very complicated name. You get a lot of different people. But he tweeted out this story about Hunter Biden and Russia and said, now get ready for the people who have been talking ad nauseum for the last 3.5 years about Russia to start to tell you how it doesn't matter and how they don't care about it. They're obsessed with Russia, and then it's Hunter Biden in Russia, and now it's a moot point.
How many days did Don Jr. have to testify under oath before multiple congressional committees about his 10-minute meeting with that Russian lawyer who was being debriefed by Hillary Clinton's operatives at Fusion GPS before and after the meeting? And Hunter Biden, he just goes about his business knocking up hookers, strippers, and nobody comes down on him.
Howard. Such crass language you're using. Let's use some nuance here.
Why?
I don't know. It's the dinner hour.
The report mentions hookers.
Late women of the night is what we shall call them.
No, let's use Massachusetts legal terminology. Common night walker.
Okay.
You like that one? Common night walker?
Yeah, well, it just makes me think of that place. What's that place you used to say? The red zone, or
the combat zone?
The combat zone.
The red zone.
The red zone. All right, let's get to Charlie Baker, Howie, because we have a lot to get to. Can we start with So Charlie Baker, as Howie mentioned this morning, was giving a press conference. That's where he made his big announcement about the restaurants. But there were several other announcements that people should know about. I want to start, though, with a mix that I tend to do every time he gives a press conference. It's called the Community Mixdown. And this one was quite something. This is cut 48.
And there are currently about 18 communities that are participating in the Stop the Spread program. And for folks in those communities, it's really important that you remember to continue to do all we can in those communities to support their efforts. Our community enforcement and intervention team continues to work with those higher risk communities. Sometimes communities bump up, communities will bounce as a result, and then the community comes back down. There are a lot of communities that bounce around. But there are communities that bounce up and bounce down in communities, and that will include all of the high-risk communities, but also will be available in communities that have substantial population with our community intervention teams in their community to help stop the spread. The Health Resources in Action community on hria.org/MA-COVID community. We look forward to partnering with these community organizations.
We can stop it there. You guys get the point. The VIP is trying to count how many times
community
it's too
intervention.
Many.
Enforcement and intervention. You know what? I'm going to have some community intervention and enforcement. I'm going to intervene and go to Florida. I'm tired of living in this community.
You live in several communities. I can't imagine how exhausted you are, especially with all the bouncing around they're doing. By the way, Howie, I don't know if you know this, and I will get into the more important cuts, but we got to play some Baker classics. He also let people know again today that he was about to say he is a basketball player, but then he corrected himself and said he was a basketball player. This is cut 47.
I was once a basketball player. I played a lot. I have a really cranky Achilles heel, and every once in a while it gets particularly cranky. And my wife and I spent a lot of time walking this past weekend, and I got the appropriate response from my cranky Achilles heel. So
I got a deal for the governor.
This is so nice that you're actually going to let him know about this.
If you resign, I will give you gratis a tube of Eden Pure 7 pain cream, full spectrum hemp oil infused deep soothing.
Your cranky ankle will be jolly as can be.
And if you can get rid of Karen, pay to play Polito, I'll give you 2.
Which, by the way, we do have a Wizard of Oz coming up for anyone who is curious about that. So let's get back to the real stuff. Howie.
So, by the way, 781 says Massachusetts people can now visit Maine now that summer's over. Yeah, right. It's like you can go to the bars, but not until after the Sunday afternoon game in Foxborough. And 512 says, is Lockover still open in Boston? Great food. Man, where have you been? You're further out than Joe Biden. Lockovers is gone, man.
Come on, man, for real.
It's like that diner in Wilmington that Joe said he was going to all the time and had been out of business since 1987.
I'm sure sometimes that guy wakes up and thinks it's 18. What did Joe say? 1820.
1918. Sometimes he wakes up and thinks it's 1918 or it's 1920. Yeah.
By the way, guys, so Howie and I have been following this data. Mine is not on purpose. I get the emails from Howie that I have to post about the data, but Howie actively looks for these things. He's a true hero. And
I study the data.
You do, but
because I want to know what the settled science is before I can decide what the protocols and the regimen should be.
But I bet you didn't know this,
for the guidance and the enforcement and the intervention.
I bet you didn't know this. Charlie Baker does not parse the data. This is cut
no kidding.
32.
We don't parse the data. We just put the numbers out as they are, and then we work with our colleagues in local government to make decisions and determinations with respect to what it is that creates the bump up or the bump down. And if you look at the data week over week over week, there are a lot of communities that bounce around.
If he doesn't parse the data, why did he kill the chart that we posted every day, which had the deaths by age group and which showed that he was totally full of not data, but excrement?
He doesn't parse the data. He deletes the data. He bleach bits the data. So there's more.
857 says, follow the bouncing, not the balls, the bouncing communities.
Yes. That was a theme today, was bouncing.
Bouncing.
Howie, but you mentioned this today. I'm not going to play the full restaurant announcement because we already played that, but he once again is patting himself on the back quite a bit. This is cut 39.
We're number 3.
As we continue to navigate a world with COVID-19, we continue to work on ways to protect public health while supporting our Massachusetts businesses.
Right.
I bet you didn't know that, businesses. You're being supported.
Thanks a lot. With friends like Charlie Parker, business doesn't need any enemies.
And also...
that's businesses in Massachusetts. Businesses in New Hampshire, they've never had a better friend than Charlie Parker.
Should we play some vigilance cuts? Do you need some vigilance today in your life?
I always need. Okay, we'll take a quick break and then we'll come back with some vigilance. And by the way, we're going to have some Wizard of Oz contests. And President Trump is doing a news conference this evening, and we'll cut in and out of that too. 844-500-4242. I'm Howie Carr.
You can call him Fat Boy, just don't call him late for dinner. It's Howie Carr.
This hour of the Howie Carr Show is brought to you in part by Boone's Fish House and Oyster Room on the Portland waterfront. For amazing wood-grilled meats and seafood, visit the home of the baked stuffed lobster, Boone's, Portland. Campers, are you thinking about getting a new or used RV this year? This is Howie Carr, and Cold Springs RV is ready for you. The 2021 models are now arriving daily, but they won't last long. After one visit, you will understand why they are a one-stop shop for all things camping. With all the top RV brands, a new state-of-the-art service center, a new RV body shop, and a huge store full of accessories, you don't need to go anywhere else. If it is service you need, the brand new state-of-the-art service facility is ready for you. They service all makes and brands. If your RV needs body work, they have you covered. They can help you with collision repair, roof replacement, or even a new paint job. From minor repairs to major insurance jobs, Cold Springs RV can do it all. As a full-service RV dealer, you know they can fix just about anything. If you are a service technician and want to work for the best, ask about employment today. Cold Springs RV, Route 114 in Ware, New Hampshire. ColdSpringsRV.com, your destination for all things camping.
You might hear a lot about Bernie, Biden, and Elizabeth Warren, but what about the lightweights who are running for president? Here's a best of the B team.
I've listened to some of my colleagues, Mr. Glover, tell you how much they like your movies. And I have to say, we didn't come here to talk about your movies. We came here to talk about your activism. I like your activism. I also like your movies, but I want to give you a chance because I haven't heard the other side other than tell you that they like they like your movies.
I think the NRA is the worst organization in this country for doing exactly that. They care more about the profits than the American people.
I learned a long time ago about polling. It's not where you start, it's where you finish. I mean, right now, I got nowhere to go but up.
Millions living in the shadows, working some of the toughest jobs, kept in modern-day bondage.
People commit crime. Crime happens.
I have won every single congressional district in my state, including Michelle Bachmann's, okay? That's when you guys are supposed to cheer.
Now's the perfect time to get a pair of premium wireless earbuds, and Raycon is the way to go. Raycon start at about half the price of other premium brands on the market, and they sound just as amazing. And Raycon's everyday E25 earbuds are their best model yet. You get 6 hours of playtime, seamless Bluetooth pairing, more bass, and a more compact design that gives you a comfortable, noise-isolating fit. Perfect for conference calls, video chats, or binging podcasts. Raycon was founded by Ray J, and celebrities like Cardi B and J.R. Smith have already given Raycons their seal of approval. I love my Raycons, and Grace loves hers, too.
Howie, I love my Raycons. Best birthday gift ever.
I listen to much better music than she does, though.
Hey, that's not true.
Now it's your turn to see what the hype is all about. Go to buyraycon.com/Howie. That's buyraycon.com/Howie. buyraycon.com/Howie.
And now, an interview with the Emperor of Hate, Howie Carr.
So now you've broken your elbow. Have you ever broken any other bones?
When I was 8 years old, I broke my leg. I was playing touch football in Portland, and a big kid, a 15-year-old, tackled me. When I was in my 30s, I was going down the stairs, and one of the kids' toys was on the stairs, and I tripped on it and broke my foot. I lost a tooth playing touch football when I was just out of Deerfield. I got smacked in the jaw. My tooth went up, and I still have a bridge, a crown from that mishap. I have a replacement hip, and now I have a bunch of pins in my left elbow.
When do you plan to retire?
I don't plan on retiring. As an old football coach once said, once you retire, there's only one big moment left. You know what that is.
This is Jay in Hingham, Massachusetts.
This is Gloria from Haverhill, Mass.
Hi, this is Joe from Howie in the Hills, Florida, and this is the Howie Carr Show.
By cutting red tape and unleashing America's medical genius, we've reduced the fatality rate 85% since April. For individuals under 50, they have a 99.98% rate of survival from the China virus. That's a number that's been really increasing substantially with time.
No, says Charlie Parker. I don't want to hear it. I'm melting when I hear that. That's anecdotal.
What is 99.98% equal in Joe Biden percentage? Is that 900 million trillion percent?
Yeah, gazillion, badillion.
Badillion.
Raycon's newest wireless earbuds, the Everyday E25s, are their best ones yet, with 6 hours of playtime, seamless Bluetooth pairing, and a noise-isolating fit that really allows you to focus on what you're listening to. Get 15% off Raycon wireless earbuds at buyraycon.com/Howie, buyraycon.com/Howie. Taylor, what's the poll question? What are the results thus far?
Will Joe Biden wear a mask at the debate?
Yes, he will.
82% say yes.
He has to stay vigilant, as Charlie Baker would say. Let's play cut 34.
And for folks in those communities, it's really important that you remember to be vigilant and to pay attention to the public health guidance provided by the Commonwealth to stop the spread of COVID-19, as well as the messaging and the programming that's coming from your municipal officials, and that we all work together to continue to do all we can in those communities to support their efforts to balance their efforts with ours to manage the spread.
We all work together. We all work. Remember that, folks. We all work together.
I feel there are so many more concise ways to say every single sentence that pours out of this guy's mouth.
Oh.
He loves to hear himself talk.
He's Charlie Baker, and he's a downer.
You're enjoying your day, everything's going your way. Then along comes Charlie Parker. Always there to tell you about a new disease, a car accident or killer bees. You beg her to spare you, Charlie, please. But you can't stop Charlie Parker.
Charlie Parker. Okay, so Howie, the two cuts I really want to get to are, he's not even really asked about the Supreme Court. He's asked about relief packages, but he does not miss the opportunity to scold Washington, and it's implied Donald Trump. Now
remember, this is the guy who, when Obama nominated Merrick Garland, he said he should be approved immediately, right? Okay, well, we're going to have Trump taking a few questions here right now. We'll get back to this in a moment. Go ahead.
So-called red and blue states, will you commit to making sure that there is a peaceful transferal of power after the election?
Well, we're going to have to see what happens. He's pointing a finger at him. I've been complaining very strongly about the ballots, and the ballots are a disaster.
I understand that, but people are rioting. Do you commit to making sure that there's a peaceful transferal of power?
We want to get rid of the ballots, and we'll have a very peaceful. There won't be a transfer, frankly. There'll be a continuation. The ballots are out of control. You know it. And you know who knows it better than anybody else? The Democrats know it better than anybody else. Go ahead.
Mr. President, the second question is, will you...
Please, go ahead.
Why won't you...
You asked the question.
Why won't you go after the Russians?
Say it.
Mr. President, do you plan to meet with Barbara Lagoa at the White House?
I cannot hear you through your mask.
I'm sorry. Do you plan to
Take
meet
the
with
mask
Barbara
off,
Lagoa in
stupid.
Washington? And is she still on your short list?
She is on my list. I don't have a meeting planned, but she is on my list.
Do you have
But I don't really talk about the meetings planned. I speak to people, I talk to people, but I don't have a meeting planned, no.
Do you have a response to the governor of Missouri testing positive for coronavirus?
I didn't know that, no.
Yeah.
Mr. President, we asked you earlier today about the Breonna Taylor case.
Yes.
Could you comment now? I assume you've been briefed on the charges in the Breonna
Well, I thought
Taylor
it
case.
was really brilliant. Kentucky Attorney General Daniel Cameron is doing a fantastic job. I think he's a star. And he made a statement that I'll just read. Justice is not often easy. It does not fit the mold of public opinion, and it does not conform to shifting standards. It answers only to the facts and to the law. If we simply act on emotion or outrage, there's no justice. Mob justice is not justice. Justice sought by violence is not justice. It just becomes revenge. I mean, I heard that. I said, write that down for me, please, because I think it was a terrific statement. He's handling it very well. You know who he is, right? I think you know. I think everyone now knows who he is. I will be speaking to the governor, and we have a call scheduled to make very shortly with the governor. I understand he's called up the National Guard, which is a good thing. I think it's a very positive thing. And it'll all work out.
Can I just follow on your Supreme Court nominee? It's highly unlikely that any Democrats will vote for your nominee if and when it comes to a vote in the Senate.
We don't know.
Given the posture,
a good candidate.
I think that's a pretty safe assumption. But on that point, would you want to nominate someone who, in their confirmation to the appellate court, received broad bipartisan?
That first guy who was asking the question, he was waving his finger at the President of the United States, pointing at him, lecturing him. The audacity of that Democrat stenographer. I'm Howie Carr. Let me tell you about a new sponsor to the Howie Carr Show, Helping Hands of America. For over 2 decades, Helping Hands has made donating your car, truck, or boat to a New England charity incredibly easy. I've donated, and you should too. It takes one call. The pickup is not only fast, but it's free, and your donation is 100% tax deductible. Call Helping Hands at 888-881-9090. That's 888-881-9090. Or visit helpinghandsofamerica.org. Restrictions may apply. Do you have no water, poor water quality, or low pressure? This is Howie Carr. Call the local water service experts, Skillings & Sons. They're ready with 24-hour service with no extra charge for after-hours calls. And a fleet of trucks stocked with parts to make sure you're not without water. With over 50 years of experience, they take pride in having a family of employees that are the best in the business. For all things water, Skillings & Sons is there for you. SkillingsandSons.com.
This is going to sound immodest, but I'm obviously a top-tier candidate. I've had a lot of titles over my career, and certainly vice president will be great, but Mamala will always be the one that means the most. They said, well, do you think Trump is responsible for what happened? And I said, well, look, I mean, obviously he didn't pull the trigger, but he's certainly been tweeting out the ammunition. And that's why do gotta go. What else do we know about this population, 18 through 24? They are stupid. That is why we put them in dormitories. You know, I'm just gonna engage in real talk. I don't want to waste your time with anything else.
What is your favorite musical genre?
Oh, I mean, I'm hip hop and reggae and jazz. Those are some of my favorites.
Okay.
Have you ever smoked?
I have.
Okay.
And I inhale. I did inhale.
Here's how it works with my retirement accounts, and I'll bet yours too. If your 401k, your SEP, your IRA, whatever, is going up, you probably don't think very much about it, right? But if it's going down, well, there's nothing much else you can think of. So for the last couple of years, none of us have been worrying much about those quarterly statements. But lately, it's gotten a little worrisome. It's not that bad, not yet anyway, but what goes up must come down. Now is the time to start thinking about adjusting your investments. Gold and silver have always been a hedge against stock market volatility. Uncertainty about the future has traditionally met rising prices for precious metals. Orion Metal Exchange is the only precious metals company I trust. Give Orion a call to get a free, no-obligation investment guide about protecting your future with an enduring investment in gold and silver. You've got nothing to lose and everything to gain, including peace of mind, by calling Orion Metal Exchange now. Call them today at 800-912-2300. And with Orion, you'll get more metal for your money. Call 800-912-2300. That's 800-912-2300.
And now, an interview with the Emperor of Hate, Howie Carr.
We went to the White House for the Christmas party. In your opinion, what was the highlight?
The highlight of my trip to the White House with Grace, there were two. Number one, when we walked into Trump International Hotel, which she'd been dreaming of going to, and her eyes were wide. And then when the president actually came down the stairs, her eyes were even wider. She was so in awe of being there. I really felt like King Farouk, you know? I felt like I was giving someone a really great gift that they couldn't get otherwise.
You've had some really good interviews over the years. Which one was your favorite?
I can't really say what the best interview I ever had, but one that just occurred to me was Jesse Helms, the senator from North Carolina. I interviewed him one time, and he went to high school with my mother in Monroe, North Carolina. And the first words out of his mouth were, "Howie, I know your mother before you knew your mother."
You can call him Fat Boy, just don't call him late for dinner. He's Howie Carr.
We will bring over your entire family from the third world Muslim hellhole that they live in so that they can have an all-expenses-paid, taxpayer-funded with open bar weekend at a nice hotel in Boston, get a nice sightseeing tour, maybe take them to Fenway Park for a game so they can see their savage Muslim terrorist kinsman sentenced to death. But the President of the United States of America can't be allowed to speak before Parliament because he's such a terrible barbarian, as opposed to the dictator of Red China. And I'm going to call it Red China. Since the Dems are down on Russia, we might as well go after all the communist dictatorships that are left, right? Russia isn't even a communist dictatorship, it's just authoritarian now, but let's call it Red China.
Live from the Matthews Brothers Studios.
844-500-4242. We thought the president's press conference would go on for a while, but he, during the break, suddenly announced, "I have an emergency phone call. I'm going to have to cut this short," and he left. So I think it's over for the evening. I don't think this is one of those deals where, like, the shooting broke out outside the White House and there was no danger, and he came back a couple of minutes later. I think it's over for the evening. But you know, the lack of respect for this guy. You know, I mean, I didn't have a lot of respect for back when I was doing street reporting and, my base of operations was Boston City Hall, and I'd be going at it with the mayor every day. We all would be, or Mike Dukakis. He hated my guts, and I didn't think much of him. But, I never pointed my finger at anybody and yelled at him like this guy was yelling at the President of the United States. And he was wearing a mask, and the mask said, "America needs journalists." I mean, again, that guy's not a journalist. He's a Democrat operative, a stenographer with a press pass. He wasn't asking questions. He was screaming. He was hectoring at the President of the United States. If you saw that guy yelling at you on a street corner, you'd cross the street against the light to get away.
Ultimately, the White House has to approve it, and maybe we will and maybe we won't, but we'll be taking a look. I have to leave for an emergency phone call. I'm going to let Scott and Larry finish that. Larry's going to talk about So I'll be back. I will see you tomorrow.
Mr. President, if you can, just one more question on Breonna Taylor. We're at a time right now where Americans feel like we are on this carousel.
I have a big
Mr.
call.
President, just one more question if I can on Breonna Taylor. People are protesting in the streets. What is your message to them? People feel like we're on this carousel where another black life is being taken.
So here we have Dr. Scott Atlas.
She's unhinged. She's as unhinged as the old guy who kind of looked like Lou Grant, who was wearing the mask that said America needs journalists. America does need journalists. These people aren't journalists. These people aren't reporters. The thing about being in an assignment like the White House or City Hall or the State House, you have to develop sources. You don't have to be in the satchel with the mayor or the governor or the president, but you need to develop some sources, sort of the other side. If you're going to be a thorn in their side, can you imagine anybody in the White House talking to anybody like this? I wouldn't want to wait on them if I was at a bar and the bar was open and whether there was plexiglass in front of me or not, I wouldn't want to talk to those people. Someone says he's from Playboy, but we don't think he's Brian Karem. That would really be ironic if a guy who wasn't a journalist is wearing a mask that says America needs journalists and he's working for a magazine that no longer exists. Because there is no more Playboy. It's gone. When was the last time you saw Playboy? Not since the internet was invented, right? Who needs Playboy? All right, 844 500-4242, 844-500-4242, 917. 8 years of Obama, Biden, never did they stand there and get raked over the coals like Trump does daily, sometimes more than once a day. And don't you have to cut him some slack when he says, I've got an emergency phone call? He is the president of the United States, and you're just trying to hector him? I mean, again, that was a legitimate question. He'd already been asked about Breonna Taylor. And he deferred basically to the young attorney general, who's a Republican and who's black, of Kentucky, Daniel Cameron. And I heard what he had said earlier in the day, and it was pretty articulate, and it was very well-reasoned statement that he delivered. And the president just quoted it and left it at that. What was wrong with that? All right, 844-500-4242. We're going to start. I think we're going to set up some calls here for the Wizard of Oz. We've got some Wizard of Oz cuts today from Karen Polito, the lieutenant governor. And as we try to fill up the lines, and if you get it right, if you get the number of Oz that Karen Polito says correct, you will get a free copy of my book, What Really Happened: How Donald J. Trump Saved America from Hillary Clinton. So call in now at 844-500-4242. We got enough to play for a while, and the thing is, the governor and his lieutenant governor, Karen Pay to Play Polito, a.k.a. the Wizard of Oz, they couldn't meet with their usual good buddy in Lowell. That there are all these pictures from the past of them with their arms around this guy. His name is David Nangle. Does that name ring a bell? As in the United States of America versus David Nangle, the indicted state rep from Lowell. He was defeated in the primary. So I guess he couldn't show up. He couldn't be available today to suck up to them. But listen to Baker, and he's getting applause from reporters. And again, I don't understand this. They hate Donald Trump, but they love Charlie Parker. Charlie Parker's killed the state's economy. We have the third highest death rate, and still, even now, the sixth highest unemployment rate in the country. And they're worshipful of him. They never ask him a follow-up question. They never once asked him a question in 2 months when we had the highest unemployment rate in the country. They still refuse to ask him, Governor, if things are going so well, why do we have the third highest death rate in the country? They never ask him this, but this just goes to show how in the satchel they are. He's going to, give a needle to Trump, and the reporters just start clapping wildly. It's really sad what the Boston press has become. 46.
And I sit here as the governor of the Commonwealth of Mass where we have basically been playing this hand around COVID as best we can with a really uneven, inconsistent response from the federal government, who has far more tools in their toolbox than any state's ever going to have to manage their way through this. And they are now going to wrap themselves up in a conversation about the Supreme Court, which is important, but nobody looks good with respect to how they've chosen to position themselves over the course of the last 4 years on this issue, at a point in time when what I would really like to see them focus on is the pandemic, which has killed 200,000 people in the United States of America so far and continues to wreak havoc on our economy and our communities across not just the Commonwealth, but across the country. So, yeah, I'd like to see him focus on the pandemic.
How sad is that? The reporters all put down their little steno pads with Biden-Harris 2020 on them, and they clapped as he's just engaging in these setting up straw men. God, what a clown he is. But anyway, if you want to play the Wizard of Oz, you can win a free copy. You got to figure out how many times Karen Polito says in a sound cut. 844-500-4242, 844-500-4242. If you are spending a lot of time still with your significant other or with your coworkers or just anybody that you're close to who you normally wouldn't be this close to if there wasn't a martial law and a draconian lockdown in the Commonwealth of Massachusetts, you need some Raycon earbuds. You need to be able to play your own music without bothering anybody else, or your close personal friend or associate who's with you needs their own Raycon earbuds so their podcast won't be bothering you. The best way to listen? By using a pair of premium wireless earbuds, especially if you can get them at less than half the price of the other guys. That's why I recommend wireless earbuds from Raycon. I got mine in the spring, and I loved them so much. I bought some for Grace for her birthday. She loved them so much she bought some for her father for Father's Day. Now everybody in Grace's family has Raycon earbuds. They're great. They're really good. Their newest model, the Everyday E25 earbuds, are their best ones yet, with 6 hours of playtime, seamless Bluetooth pairing, more bass, a more compact design, a noise-isolating fit. If you can't listen to the whole Howie Carr Show, what better way to listen to the podcast of the Howie Carr Show at night? And you won't be bothering that moonbat in your family. Raycon earbuds are stylish and discreet, no dangling wires or stems. The company was founded by Ray J, and celebrities like J.R. Smith and Mike Tyson are obsessed with their products. Give them a try. Raycon has a 45-day free return policy, so you can make sure they're the pair of wireless earbuds for you. Now, for a limited time, get 15% off your order at buyraycon.com/Howie. That's buyraycon.com/Howie. For a special 15% discount on Raycon wireless earbuds. Buyraycon.com/Howie. I'm Howie Carr.
Don't touch that dial. Howie Carr will be back after this.
This hour of the Howie Carr Show is brought to you in part by Route 1 Grill House in Saugus, located just before the Cactus. From their steak tips and ribs, the Route 1 Grill House has it all. Open now 7 days a week for both outdoor and indoor dining.
Whether it's global warming, global cooling, or climate change, one thing's for certain, the progressive moonbats can't stop talking about it.
We're talking about cities all over the world, major cities going underwater.
You know, I've spent a lot of time now with these young students, and they're scared. And a lot of young people are even suffering from, they're calling it extinction illness.
So that we can have people here who truly are committed to climate change, believe in climate change as though it's a religion, it's not a science.
A woman whose dreams of motherhood now taste bittersweet because of what I know about our children's future.
You have stolen my dreams and my childhood with your empty words.
That curing cancer is going to be much more difficult when there's so much climate change and pollutants in the environment, because a lot of cancer is environmentally caused.
Recognizing and acknowledging the link between animal agriculture and climate change is a very bold move, making tonight plant-based.
Hair loss is not one of life's more enjoyable experiences. If you're looking to fill in your hairline or reverse years of hair loss, DiStefano Hair Restoration will create a result that will be a transformative experience. The result of my IGT procedure was quite remarkable. I now have fuller, thicker hair so I can even wear it a bit longer. There are a few major decisions I've made in my life that I wish I did sooner. My hair restoration is number one. It was by far one of the best moves I've ever made. My hair looks awesome, and the confidence from having a full head of hair again has left me feeling great. I used to look in the mirror and dreaded seeing my ever-increasing bald spot. Now when I look in the mirror, I see the new me with a full head of thick hair. For information on how to make the same choice I did, go to hairman.com/Howie. What are you waiting for? More hair to fall out? Get the hair you've always wanted. Hairman.com/Howie.
He's the gaffe that keeps on giving. Here's 1 minute of former Vice President Joe Biden.
You teachers who touch them, figuratively speaking, well, I hope you touch them and tell them how much you love them too. But my point is, when you touch their hearts.
I get in trouble with some things I say, but I want to tell you, just be straight up. If I'm your president, with me, it starts here in my gut, it goes to my heart, and then I articulate it.
And by the way, you know, I sit on the stand and it get hot. I got hairy legs that turn blonde in the sun. And the kids used to come up and reach in the pool and rub my leg down so it was straight, and then watch the hair come back up again. 1.2 billion. So you go ahead and you stack spaghetti sauce at a store in a supermarket. You control the guy or the woman who brings out the carts on a forklift. So I learned about roaches. I learned about kids jumping on my lap, and I've loved kids jumping on my lap.
Hi, my name's Jane Lucas, and I am from the town of South China, Maine.
This is Al from Merrimack, New Hampshire.
Hi, I'm Angela from Brewster on the Cape, and this is the one and the only Howie Carr Show.
We're going to have to put off the Wizard till tomorrow night. We're having problems with the phone lines. I apologize again, but we'll do the Wizards tomorrow because there's some really good ones in there. And incidentally, that reporter who was pointing the finger saying America needs journalists on his mask, that was Brian Karem. A non-journalist with wearing a mask that says America needs more journalists who works for a magazine that doesn't exist any longer. Okay, I got it. And they were trying, and then this woman was screaming at the president as he's leaving. He says he has an emergency phone call. And she just wants to berate him as if he's somehow responsible for what happened to Breonna Taylor. And you just have the Attorney General of Kentucky, who, by the way, is black, saying that, you know, we had to follow the facts. You know, you can't just indict somebody because you think there's systemic racism, whatever that means. Anyway, we've still got a lot of cuts to play here from Charlie Baker and Karen Polito, but I want to start off with a Karen Polito cut here, just in this segment. And this is just shows how inarticulate she is. And one thing, before COVID-19, I just thought, I figured, you know, I didn't think she was anything to write home about. You know, I didn't think she was Margaret Thatcher or Golda Meir or, you know, Indira Gandhi. But this has really shown her for what she is. And she's a dope. I don't know how else to put it. Cut 54.
And the places that maybe before pandemic were really a big part of your routine and places you look forward to going, we'll get back and doing that as part of your routine, even as we have to manage through the virus.
Not if they're out of business, Karen. They're not going to rise from the dead. These places are gone, okay? Maybe you don't understand that. Good Lord. And then she rhapsodizes about how great Lowell is, even though her good buddy. We've run the pictures before of her arm around Dave Nangle, the indicted, now defeated for re-election Lowell rep, corrupt to his very essence of his being. He's going to go away to federal prison for a number of years for stealing all kinds of money, allegedly. And she usually poses with him out in front of the Olympic Diner or the Olympia Diner. I forget what its name is. But she's talking about how great, because she's a city girl too. So she's talking about Lowell. Cut 53.
Here in Lowell, as the governor mentioned, the local nonprofit Do-It-Yourself Lowell. It's such a Lowell thing.
It's such a Lowell thing. Oh, God. 339 says Polito is more like Rosanna Donna. 339 raises a good point here, which I hadn't even thought of. With the new Governor Parker COVID rules, does this mean you can have more VIPs in the studio? That's an excellent point. I don't know. Our VIPs had to leave early tonight. We only got one left. Did you have a good time?
Very good.
Very good. Thanks.
We'll have to put plexiglass up in front of each one of them, though.
Yeah, and if you order a beer from me, Grace will have to serve it to you. Well, we're just joking. No beers here. No beers here. That's all. Okay, 844-500-4242. And again, Charlie Baker, as you know, was asked about his firing of Walsh, the superintendent of the Holyoke Soldiers Home, Bennett Walsh. And he fired him, and then the judge said that he had no right to fire him, that the board of the Holyoke Soldiers Home has to do it. So he was asked about that. Cut 41.
It's our expectation, given the judge's ruling with respect to who has the authority to fire at Holyoke Soldiers Home, that we would expect the board, based on the Pearlstein report, which made pretty clear that there were serious mistakes made over the course of the months of March and April there, February and March, that they would act to remove Bennett Walsh permanently.
Now, you know what I would ask as a follow-up question? Seems like a logical follow-up question, especially a guy who's done such a terrible job managing this thing. Third highest death rate, worst unemployment rate for 2 months now, the sixth highest. How about this as a follow-up question? So, Governor, since you fired the guy, this hack that you put on the payroll, are you going to return the $950 you accepted in campaign contributions from this unqualified hack by your own description? Is your lieutenant governor, pay-to-play Polito, going to return the $1,000 that this hack gave her? And incidentally, now that we've been speaking about it, are you going to return any of the $52,000 that you've received from the operators of the nursing homes where 2/3 of the people who perished in Massachusetts died, even though your corrupt Department of Public Health was supposed to be regulating these nursing homes? Wouldn't that be a logical follow-up question? But instead, oh, Charlie Parker, you're so good and you suffered so much. You can't play basketball. You were a scrub at Needham High. Oh, God. And so then he has to give a pat on the back to Karen Polito. And she does have the proper name, right? She's a Karen among Karens. Cut 35.
As more industries have opened up, we've seen a decline in the positive test rate, which, as I said earlier in my remarks, has been below 1% now for several weeks. The people of Massachusetts and the folks that worked on that reopening team, kudos to you, Lieutenant Governor, for co-chairing it, deserve enormous credit for the success of this initiative.
You know, we've only been able to put 21% of the restaurants in the Commonwealth of Massachusetts out of business over the last 6 months. But with the lead and the help of my partner in misgovernment, Karen Pay-to-Play Polito, I think we can put 50% of the restaurants out of business by the time spring arrives. Now, you want some more of him patting himself on the back? Cut 36.
By responsibly reopening, we've avoided the spikes in new cases, and people have been able to get back to work. And we're constantly consulting public health leaders.
Oh, good. Okay. Public health leaders. Those are people who have never missed a paycheck in their entire lives. These are people from the public health department, which falsified 61,000 drug tests in criminal cases. 61,000. It's just, if it wasn't so painful, if it wasn't hurting so many people, if it hadn't rolled back decades of economic progress, you could laugh at this stuff. But this is a fiasco, a totally preventable overreaction. And then he has the audacity to criticize states like Florida and Texas, and even Governor Parker is such a dullard. He's worse than a dullard. I'm Howie Carr.
Don't miss your final chance. Come on, come on, come on.
The Subaru of New England Final Chance Clearance is going on now. This is your final chance to get behind the wheel of a brand new 2020 Subaru Forester, starting at $24,495 with 0% financing for up to 63 months. Details at SubaruofNewEngland.com.
Alexander Hamilton said, "Those who stand for nothing will fall for anything." This is Toby from Cape Gunworks. When our founding fathers drafted the Second Amendment, there was no question of its meaning. Today, if you have questions, come to Cape Gunworks for some advice, training, or to send a few rounds downrange. We have a fully stocked pro shop with a huge selection of guns, crossbows, archery, classes, rentals, a 15-lane range, and a friendly staff. Come on down to Cape Gunworks, Airport Road, Hyannis, or capegunworks.com.
And now, an interview with the Emperor of Hate, Howie Carr.
How did you come up with the name VB?
My first producer and I both had steady girlfriends, or we were married or whatever. And VB was always saying that we were whipped, if you know what I mean. Finally, I said, "You don't even have a girlfriend. I've never seen you with a female. As a matter of fact, I don't think you have ever had sex. You are just a virgin boy."
What is your biggest fear?
That Donald Trump will not be reelected in 2020, and that some horrible Democrat will come in and finish off the destruction of this once great country.
Out of all of your daughters, who is the least like you and why?
Probably Charlotte, even though we went to the same high school, Deerfield Academy. She has a different sense of her responsibilities than I do. Let me put it that way. She has a different regard for money. She's not a cheap bastard, in other words. And now, a minute of wisdom from Alexander